Welcome to Suzuki Stadium for the clash between the East Tigers and the Mackay Cutters, round 2 of the Intrust Super Cup. Both of these teams were first round losers, so round 2 really counts big time in hot conditions here at, as we used to call it, Langlands Park, now Suzuki Stadium. But we're waiting for the two teams to take the field here on Tiger TV as we launch into the 2018 season. And we can expect a pretty tough clash this afternoon. The Cutters were well beaten last week by the Townsville Blackhawks. In fact, the score was 56 points to 12. And you can imagine that they are well and truly stinging from that defeat. They've made a number of changes to the lineup as well. We'll talk about them in a moment. The East Tigers, on the other hand, narrowly beaten. Just a field goal in it. The Central Crappers at home. Too good for the Tigers, 15 points to 14. And today, of course, the Tigers, who used to being front runners in the competition, they like to be in the top half, and that's where they usually are, so they don't want to go 2 losses straight to start 2018. The Tiger TV team is here with me. David Wright, my old comrade in commentary, is with me. When I say old, he's as passionate as ever, I can tell you, about his rugby league. It's great to be back commentating with David Wright as well. I'm Warren Boland, by the way. And with us as well, Gavin Payne. Gavin, of course, an East Tigers stalwart and much-loved player and coach with the Tigers, and of course used to commentate with us at the ABC as well. So we've got a mighty good, we think it's a mighty good Tiger TV commentary team. We've got a great technical team with us. Mel Tappert is going to be helping us out through the afternoon as well with injury reports, and we're looking forward to a tremendous 2018 when we'll be bringing you as many East Tigers games from Suzuki Stadium as we possibly can. David, it's an important game, isn't it? You just don't want to put 2 losses together at the beginning of the season.
Especially a very proud club like the East Tigers. They've been highly successful over the period of the Intrust Super Cup, albeit they've never won a premiership. And this club, you only got to have a look at these magnificent facilities here at Suzuki Stadium. They will be hungering to win one here, and as you say, Warren, to lose that first game. And really, they scored more tries than the Capras, but couldn't kick the goals. They tell me that the Mackay Cutters, whilst they were badly beaten, as you say, by the Blackhawks, they still did play, pretty good. The Blackhawks were just red hot, so it'll still be a very good contest this afternoon. And I'm sure, as you say, the Tigers will be desperate, and there's a few changes to their side from last week as well to come up with 2 points today.
Definitely the case. And of course, I mentioned Gavin Payne has been coaching in the under-20s the last few years here at the East Tigers, and he's keeping a close eye on the development of a lot of players. But Gavin, I look at this East Tigers team, and it looks pretty good on paper, but where they have to mould a new area, I think, is that spine. You've got Scott Drinkwater playing at fullback today. Billy Walters is back at 5'8". He's, of course, with the Melbourne Storm now, but playing with the Tigers today. Braden Torpey at halfback. He's a jack of all trades, can play anywhere and play very well in most of those positions, like fullback, 5'8", centre, halfback, but he's got that organising job today. And then in the hooking role today, Chris Ostwald. So how do you see the spine shaping up right now for the Tigers?
Obviously, Bolo, they're completely new, as you say. Chris Ostwald came through the system here, as did Braden Torpey. So they're familiar with the coaching system and the club itself. The other 2 gentlemen have got a little bit of work to do as far as fitting in with that spine. But look, they're all exciting young players, and they've got an opportunity here this afternoon to really cement their spot in that top 13, so that they can develop those combinations further as the season goes on.
David, if talking about the Mackay Cutters, yes, you might have said that they still put in a pretty good performance, but 56 points were put on them. I'd have to say the coach was working on defence during the week.
Well, you'd think so, Warren. Obviously, that was their...
I think the tackle bags have been copping a bit this week.
The intensity wasn't there, but apparently the Blackhawks were just red hot. They just couldn't contain them, and you're right.
And of course, they are a good team.
They are, that's right. They're a good footy team. The guy I'm very interested to have a look at is Kyle Labart. I can recall seeing him. It was actually here at Suzuki Stadium in one of the rep games recently, and he had a really good game. I can't remember if it was Queensland residents, probably was. And he is a very talented player. He's got a new halves partner this afternoon from what was originally listed in the program. So Mitch Dunn will come in there, but he's also a good little player as well. So like we all know, no matter where it's the Intrust Super Cup or the NRL or any of the club matches, you've got to have someone running the show, and I'll be very keen to have a look at Lay. But Gavin, I don't know whether you've seen much of him at all, but he's a pretty talented player.
A little bit about him coming through the Cowboys system up north, actually, when nephew Aaron was doing some coaching up there. He's got a pretty high opinion of him. He's been around there and thereabouts, sort of with that for some years, and they're expecting him to develop up into that type of player. But at the moment, just not quite there. Got a bit of talent in front of him too, I might add.
Well, exactly, and that'll be good competition for the Cutters. I'm sure they'll be out to show their wares as they stride out on the field now, so we're not far from kick-off.
Well, let's go through the Mackay Cutters lineup as they make their way onto the field. They're going to be wearing a mainly blue strip this afternoon. And the fullback is Yamba Bowie because an injury to Jack Joas, last week's fullback, and Yamba Bowie goes from wing to fullback. On one wing it's Kurt Wilshire. On the other, it's Johnny Falatagoai. In the centres, Nathan Salamalu and Blake Atherton. The 5'8", as David mentioned, Mitch Dunn coming in for the injured Nick Hines. Halfback Kyle Labut. In the front row, Sam Hoare, Josh Chudley and Nick Brown. A bit of experience and ability there in that front row. Second row, Bennett Leslie, Shane Wright, and the lock is Jardine Babongi. On the bench, we've got Lona Kofoto, Jordan Grant, Leonardi Fetuani and Jack Hickson. And David, the Tigers also making their way out now.
Yeah, very strong outfit, the Tigers. Stronger than what they had last week. It was a pretty good side last week. Scott Drinkwater will play at fullback again. Of course, he's in the Storm system, Australian schoolboys player, so keep a good eye on him, the number one for the Tigers.
We'll just have to watch out, David. In a moment, there's going to be a minute's silence.
Okay, well, we'll pause. We'll pause for that, but for a moment's silence.
Be upstanding and give a moment's silence to the passing of two members this year in Ian Harris and Joe Baker. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Go well. Test is at the corner.
Just to complete the Tigers outfit then, Drinkwater, as I said, is at fullback. Link Port on one wing, had a very good game here a couple of weeks ago in a trial match. Jared McAnally, experienced McAnally, used to be with the Bulldogs. And then Connor Carey, good young kid. Young Tonomat Pia comes into the number 4. He flew up from Melbourne this morning to fill in for the east side. Along with Billy Walters is also a late inclusion from the Melbourne system. Braden Torpey at halfback. And then the forwards, Tyrrell, Oswell, Kafusi, Foster, Grinky and Svenston. Very strong forward pack there. And on the bench, Bond, Iaria, Iona and Toot.
And away we go for the first home game of the season for the East Tigers. And of course the field in magnificent condition, but don't be fooled by that lovely lush green outfit. Well, you can be fooled by it, but the players are going to be feeling the heat. It's up around 31 degrees. It's quite humid. It's going to be a tough afternoon for the big men today, let alone I think the fast men, they're going to know it by 80 minutes. But here's the Mackay Cutters defending the eastern end of the ground in the first half, wearing the mainly blue colours.
Hold, go 3.
And charging ahead here and over the halfway line, making good territory early in this first set of the game. Babongi has a charge, playing it lock forward today. Been around for quite a while, Jardine Babongi, one of the greats of this club from Mackay. That's good. High bomb is a tester. Scott Drinkwater underneath it, takes it well. Looked as if he was trying to feel for the in-goal area there with his foot.
And he did very well in the end, Warren, to make sure he stayed in the field of play. He was hit heavily, but went straight to ground and made sure they retained possession to run it out from their own territory, the Tigers. So big, strong. This is a big side, this Cutters side. They've got plenty of size in their pack. Big Sam Hoare, the number 8, and the number 11 there, and Bennett Lindsay. So this is going to be a physical encounter, and holding down in the play the ball for just too long brings the early and relieving penalty to the Tigers. They'll get their way Well, you'd think almost to the halfway line here.
That was quite a testing bomb for Drinkwater. It was high. The chasers were a little slow getting to him, but nevertheless he stood that first test under the high one.
Yeah, it's always good to get that first one because otherwise you start to get a little bit nervy. So now the Tigers to work it up to almost the halfway line now. Oswald in at dummy half. Big strong run there by the big fellow in Dave Tyrrell. What a really great career he's had. Tyrrell played in the 2014 South Sydney Grand Final as East go down that right-hand side. Bit fortunate to keep a hold of it in the young fellow in Carey after a loose pass on the inside. Drinkwater tries to work his way up the middle. Again, the strong defence close to the touchline, but they can't push him sideways. Made sure they tip him onto the ground, and that delays the play the ball, gives them another good opportunity to go on the attack. Grinky puts it through the hands. Another pass up then to Tyrrell. Big Dave Tyrrell. So Tigers don't lack in size either. They go down that right-hand side as Walters likes to work the right. High kick down into the left wing position, and I think that was Fele Tagoa who took it nicely. Now the hard work to be done by the Cutters to bring it out of their own territory, almost forced back into their in-goal area, just managed to stay in the field of play.
Yeah, great driving defence there from the Tigers, so it's going to be hard work still inside their 10 on the first two tackles, the Mackay Cutters. And the Tigers very keen to get off their line and make an imprint on them early in the game. Good tackle there from Brett Grinke, ball and all, made it count. They charge up to the 30-metre now, the Mackay Cutters. Penalty, though, goes to Mackay. The call is a strip, and it's Dave Tyrrell who is coming off the tackle last. He seems to be in a mood to dispute the decision of the referee, but we've seen a lot of penalties for stripping, for inside the 10. The referees have been cracking down hard early in the season on just about every rule there is.
Yep, great touch finder, about 40 metres, so the Cutters will continue the attack.
And here they go, moving it back towards centre field and taking it ahead is Sam Hoare, brought down 30 metres out. Babongi on the right. They go to him. He's going to take them on. Straight and hard he goes. Hair flying behind him.
First test for the Tigers defence on their line.
15 out. And away goes Chudley. Chudley's got good speed. Former Intrust Super Cup player of the season. Only a few metres out. Babongi dummy half. Goes wide. Through the hands it goes. Out to Laybutt. Laybutt gets it out and on the wing. They've scored. Moving it quickly right to left. And Fala Tagoa looks like he has crossed in the far corner there. Very good slick football from the Mackay Cutters, and the Tigers just unable to withstand what wasn't really a huge build-up.
No, it wasn't. And what was interesting, Warren, that the dummy half in Chudley had been tackled on the preceding play, so they didn't. They had to use Babongi, and there's Laybutt puts it out the back. Good support play there by Bowie through the hands of the number 3 in
Nathan Saluma.
Yes, and then I think it is Fale Tagoa who has scored it on the left.
Gavin.
Yeah, it was actually Kurt Wiltshire here. They just stripped them for numbers. Just got the interest there of the far winger there for East in Port, and just hugging the sideline.
Am I setting late with them, or am I?
Was Kurt Wiltshire, the number 2 there, scoring that try. First points to the Mackay Cutters.
A short break and we'll be back.
Be wary of a blocker.
Yeah.
That last kick one there.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to comms it to him yet, but let's just be wary.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Maybe on the way back down, you can get to him. But yeah,
Run with the white socks there.
we'll keep on him.
So, lining up this kick from very wide, the Cutters drawing first blood. And off the left boot, hooking it past the post. The score remains 4 points to nil on the black and white cap scoreboard.
Well, an impressive start there by the Mackay Cutters. It all came from the penalty that was about on the 40-metre line, and a booming kick that found touch of another 40 metres downfield to give them the platform to go on the attack. The Tigers' right side defence couldn't handle. They'll want to tighten that up. Because as Warren said, there wasn't really a lot going. The chiming in of the fullback in Bowie was a key component.
Well, really, it was the quick hands of Nathan Samalu. That very quick, just tipped it onto the winger. That made the difference.
Yep. And good work from Babongi, who had to play a dummy half. He cleared that ruck. Here he is again, Babongi. He's played strongly already. He's had a number of hit-ups, run the ball strongly. Chudley at dummy half. Strong run again. As I say, they're a big side, this Mackay Cutters. This time a dummying run. Even the number 14, Mitch Dunn, admittedly he's supposedly playing 5'8". I'd be interested to know whether he definitely is. He is a giant.
Well, yeah, he's been forced into the 5'8" role because of the hip flexor injury to Nick Hines. I mean, he was going to be coming off the bench, but he's a big utility. I'll give you that, Dave.
And this one will go dead into the in-goal area, taken comfortably there by Drinkwater. And this is a huge error. You've tried to put a bit of pressure on. You've conceded a 7-tackle set, and the Tigers quickly the tap, bring it out to another 12 metres. And the continue on, the compounding effect, the penalty. As you say, Warren, there's got to have been an edict going on with these penalties. It would seem there's more inside the 10-metre penalties in this first part of the season, particularly NRL I'm talking about. There's no doubt at all they're clamping down on it.
But I think, David, it's early in the season, clamp down on it, get them back. But the trouble is, if the players and the coaches don't start to obey, it's going to ruin the game. But if it works, if they can clamp down, it's going to be for the better of the season.
Well, it'll be interesting. It's all about consistency, and traditionally they do end up letting it go because it just becomes whimsical, really. Good play here by the Tigers, straight on the attack again. This time, the big fellow in Svensson brings it almost 20 metres out. Here's a good chance for the Tigers now. Looking left was Drinkwater. Fires on the outside to Torpy. Torpy brings a man back on the inside. And another penalty. Here we go. This is where they're really jumping all over. It looked like...
Sam was never square at marker.
Square at marker. Well, that's one area I do think they need to clean up. It's the biggest blight on the game is the markers offside. This time the Tigers, as they bring it forward again through Tyrrell. Just a settler, but it's got them inside the 10 metres, and that means it's even harder to get it wide. Torpy's a big boy, out there to Drinkwater. Fires it out to Tonamapia. Good sliding and covering. He's popped it out the back door. That's been touched. Play on McAnally. Throws it back on the inside. A little bit of desperation. This time the skipper in Foster brings it back into the midfield. They've all set up on the right-hand side now. No one here on the left. They're going to go right for sure. No other option. Hands through Torpy. Brings it forward. They're knocked over this time around about 10 metres out the Tigers.
Austral it is.
Svensson goes to dummy half. This time Billy Walters out there to Drinkwater, tries to put Carey on the outside, breaks away from the first tackle. The defence comes again. Some good desperate defence here by the Cutters. And again, holding him up, pushing him back, burning time on the Tigers. There was a restart of the tackle count a little while ago, so that's why they've got a few more extra tackles. This time Kafusi, after the ball went backwards, very hard for a front rower then to bring the play forward. So they've conceded territory, but let's see if they can use the territory. Billy Walters, what's happened here? Forward pass from dummy half. Wow.
It was difficult to see from here whether it was forward, but the referee's call was early and clear, and Billy Walters was moving forward quickly with men in support. It was right.
Didn't look good.
It was out in front of him, but I mean, again, we'll have to go with the referee's call a long way away. But pretty good defence in the end from the Cutters to hold on against some concerted attack. Back-to-back penalties for the Tigers. They've gone from one end to the other, but now here's some relief for Mackay.
Okay, the Mackay boys now to bring it out of their own territory. They really haven't needed to ruck it the whole length and get a good kick away yet. They've been getting penalties themselves. So let's see how they go here now to bring it out of their own territory.
What are you seeing, Gavin?
Mate, look, I'm really impressed with Jardine Babongi. Obviously, he's heavily involved in these early stages. You know, his defence just needs to tighten up a little bit, mate. But it's a real challenge at the moment for both sides with that heat.
Certainly is. Here's Blake Atherton for Mackay, and away quickly goes Yamba Bowie. Nice short, sharp break. Couldn't get through the tackle though of Foster and Kafusi there for the Tigers. Now with Nicholas Brown. And Brown picks up his 10 metres. It's the 5th tackle. So far the Bombs to Drinkwater haven't had success. Will they try again? No, he goes on the ground. This time the halfback Carl Leibart and drives it over the sideline just a couple of metres out. Well, in these hot conditions, probably not the worst option.
No, definitely not. And they've taken it from one end of the field to the other there. They had some good go-forward play. And then, as Warren said, that grubber kick into the in-goal area. Normally, I like to see an attacking kick in that situation when you're getting that close to the try line, but I think in that
Mark's there.
point there,
Let's pack
he
in
made
forward.
good ground. Sometimes those little kicks that make 10 metres and you're already on the attack, I think are wasted. He's
I'll
got
tell you
good
when,
ground
Billy.
there,
I'll
pinned
talk
the
up
Tigers.
then.
It'll be interesting to
Wait,
see
Billy,
how
yeah,
they
but
now
I need
go
to get in.
to work their way out from their own try line.
Out.
The Tigers have got it from the scrum, and Drinkwater, who's had a good start to the game, are getting involved.
Left side short.
I like the way Drinkwater's been stretching his toe back. Here's the penalty to the Tigers, their third penalty, third in succession. I love the way from those bombs Drinkwater in Billy Slater's style is reaching back with his toe to make sure he gets it into the in-goal area. Earned them 7 tackles last time pretty easily, but the previous one nearly got it as well. So here's the Tigers already into Mackay's half on the back of the penalty and testing out their defence. With the ball, it's a Brett Grenke. Plays it 30 out. Walters, first receiver. Torpy standing on his outside to Tyrrell, but they've mucked it up.
Well, when you start passing in traffic like that before the line, you're going to put a lot of pressure on, and that's exactly what happened with the Tigers.
But it's the second time we've seen it go from Walters to Torpy to a front rower.
Well,
and it seems a funny place for Dave Tyrrell to be popping up.
It's just a little bit slow as well. Looks like there's still those combinations you talked about at the start of the pre-game show. There, Warren, you know, just getting those combinations. You know, Dave Tyrrell's played here a bit previously, but had been away for a number of years. You know, Braden Torpy's played a few games. Two pass wide seems to be a common sort of a trait just to get them a bit to
Around you,
that
block,
midfield so
bring them
they can
together.
attack either
Yep, ball
side.
in
But
Mitch.
at the moment, just not quite clicking for the Tigers.
Yeah, I agree. It just was slow and hesitant. It wasn't entirely confident. So the scrum win for Mackay. 4 points to 0 in favour of the Cutters.
Let's see how they can go again this time. We saw them with some very good go forward in their last set of 6, and they reverted to a tactical, what I would class as defensive kick. Let's see if they can do better. This time the big fellow in Dunn, I think it was, who is playing hard. He actually is playing first receiver. It's a good effort for him. Now this time, Hoare, another big lad. They're a big side, this Cutters. If they get a roll on, they're going to cause a lot of trouble in conditions like this today. There's Dunn again. He's prepared to play it like a forward as well, so he's obviously out there to play the dual role of flick it on if needed or take it forward. So he'll get a spell, I'm sure, shortly. Bowie, little rubber kick into the end goal. Drinkwater does well to come across, go straight to ground. He's done it again once. The second time he's made sure he hasn't got into the end goal area. This time off. Oh, this is a punishing tackle. And he's driven him back into the end goal area. They're up to play, the Cutters.
Yeah, that's outstanding defence. What intent they showed there. They knew exactly what they were doing. Drinkwater playing the ball only a metre into the field of play. Pass came out, and as soon as the Tigers got it, they were just swamped by 3 of those very enthusiastic tacklers from Mackay. So great work to force the drop out. Look at them come in here like hungry pack of dogs. Chudley was there. So too was Shane Wright. Great defence.
You can see where the Tigers invited that. That pass from dummy half was quite wide, which means it's taking time to get to the man. That's the time the defence can get up and really work you over.
Short kick-off here from Drinkwater.
Well, this is not the first time we've seen that this weekend. The Storm and the Broncos have applied that with great success. And the Tigers, though, it could blow up in their face as the big man again in Dunn takes it close inside the 10-metre line. They were dangerous the last time. They were in good attack play down here. Big front rower fires it out. Oh, this time it was Dunn. He's going to go straight through the big man. Throws the dummy. Well, what a good inclusion he has been. Young...
Mitch Dunn.
Yeah, Mitch Dunn, but Hines was the one who'd been replaced. Now, this guy, being such a big man, you don't expect him to throw a dummy and run, but he is playing in the halfback role. Throws the dummy. The defence wasn't obviously ready for it.
Well, that was great work, first of all, by Samalu from the short kick-off. He dived in front of the Tigers, regained possession for Mackay, did well, and then they go on the attack. And here's Sam Wright taking it up. Just gets them a little bit closer, but the threat's going to come on the right-hand side. Nick Brown turns it away, and he's done with a dummy, and made to look pretty silly was Chris Ostwald. He won't like seeing the replay of that. It was a dummy and go from Mitch Dunn straight past Chris Ostwald, and a 4-pointer for Mackay.
Yeah, indeed it was. Look, it's just that second phase play that they come around the back. Chris Oswald, just a bad read, was worried about the outside line there of the 11 in Bennett Leslie. So good work by the Mackay Cutters there, setting up really well. All that came from that dropout, obviously, and that tough defence on the goal line that really got them that goal line dropout.
All the action on the triple play replay. The conversion attempt coming up from Kyle Labut right in front. Missed with his first, but it was out wide. This is right in front of the black dot. And he pilots it over. And the score is 10-0 in favour of the Mackay Cutters.
Their management and staff of Triple Play take great pride in the sportswear they produce. To achieve your ultimate in performance and style, make Triple Play part of your team. Triple Play Sportswear, part of the Aspect Group.
So the Tigers, who are known to be very strong at home, I think they've won 7 in a row before last year's final series, where they were just pipped by the Sunshine Coast in week 2 of the finals here at Suzuki Stadium. As they've got the ball back, so that's a bonus. But to be down 10-0 against Mackay, not where the Tigers would have wanted to be at all.
Definitely not. You'd want to capitalise here too. This is a bonus play. Let's see if they can. Let's see if they can capitalise on it. They've got some great attack play. We saw Billy Walters here a few weeks ago in a trial. Totally command this right-hand side. There's Walters now. Lets a play go out to Drinkwater. Didn't throw the dummy. Maybe he should have. And another penalty for inside. These penalties continue to flood. And particularly, Gav, it's interesting, they're making sure inside this 10-metre zone when those players are required to be back on the try line. I think it's at least 1 foot on the try line. There's a flood of 10-metre penalties close to your line.
No, lines on the mark, line.
Will continue to blow the
Anywhere in line with me, Billy.
Offside, but can't continue to blow them all
Hold
day.
on and go.
So that will eventually ease up. Back to the action though.
This time Svensson takes it forward. Good chance now for the Tigers to get on the attack. Dummy runner by the front rower up there to Torpy. Back on the inside to Walters. He's lost it. Was it stripped out? I think it's a loose carry. Well, turn back on the inside between the halves with Walters going up the middle of the ruck. I don't think that's the angle you want to be running. It's pretty much running back into the right into the heart of the defence.
It looked like Walters tried to get that pass away late, and it came loose. He wasn't able to make an effect. You just look here, he's half tackle, tried to flick it out the back. Yep. Might have got the call from Austral behind him. Down it went.
Why he ended up so deep into the ruck play there, you can often see the halves take one left and then the other bloke floats right back to the right-hand side. But Gav, getting caught in the middle of the ruck there by a half is not ideal.
Yeah, no, it's not, David. I think they're just trying a few things. Perhaps a little bit too early, and they just need to go back to their structures and just work away at this Mackay defence.
I think clunky's the word. I think they're clunky at the moment. As the Cutters are working it out of their own way. Just going back to that last penalty as well, the other aspect of it is that the referees are playing the advantage much more than they ever have in the past. They will let the play go on for another 20 seconds, and then they'll come back and give the penalty, which is really basically new to rugby league. It's more of a rugby union thing we see from referees. But anyway, we'll see if they stick with that. Here's the Cutters and Chudley. Nice short pass, up the middle they go. Oh, close thing too with Yamba Bowie nearly sneaking through, but the Tigers got to him. Kafusi was one of them. Now off the left boot, high tester again for Drinkwater. Chaser's coming through this time. Babongi's right on top of him. Drinkwater hits the deck, and that'll be a surrender tackle. Babongi goes down on him late, but he's perfectly entitled to do that. Drinkwater just collapsed on the ground and didn't go anywhere. Now here's a good run by Link Port, who we haven't seen much of because the Tigers have squandered their attacking opportunities down the other end.
You're spot on, Warren. There's some very good attacking players in this Tigers side, but they really haven't created a platform to allow them to play their footy. This fella here, young Tonham Appear, as you say, he's flew up from Melbourne this morning, part of the Storm system, and he'll be looking to put in a big performance. That's a good kick. Might be a 40. Oh, might be a 40-20. Yes, it. Well, he's going to pull up short. The touchy has decided that it has pulled up a half a metre short, much to the disdain of the local crowd. I tell you what, he's got good eyes to pick it. I guess you've got to make a call. Nearly a great kick, but nearly a great 40-20. Still a good territory gain.
Well, yeah, we'll just see a couple of hit-ups here. There's Tonham Appear before him. We saw Grenke, who's been heavily involved, but as you see in the box on the right, there's Billy Walters well inside the 40. Got a whole big piece of that. And it went very close. Oh, gee. Billy Walters threw his head back in the air in frustration at the touch judge call.
Well, my call would be the guy who was chasing it from the Cutters looked to me that he went straight across the touchline, very, very close to the 20-metre line. That could have gone either way, and that's a huge decision the Tigers now will have to continue to resist. The defence hasn't been perhaps what it should be. They've allowed the Cutters to work up the field. This time the Cutters have got a little bit too fancy for their own good choice. Well, what have we got here? Penalty Tigers for holding him back. So once the ball was lost on the ground by the Cutters, they then prevented one of the Tigers getting to the ball.
Yeah, Yambert Bowie was the man who was put the ball down, injecting himself, and a couple of them got involved here as the ball came backwards, but you can just see the call was that Linkport was held back.
Well, there's a lot of footy left in this game yet, but I tell you what, this set of 6 is very important for the Tigers. At the very least, they've got to restart the tackle count and get it in the in goal, but they want to just build to something here and put one of their good plays on. Big run up the middle by Svensson, back on the outside there to Oswald. Oswald pushes his way up the middle. They've got a bit of go forward going at the moment. Slow play the ball will hinder their next play. This time out to Torpy. Got a man coming back on the inside in the big number 17 in Toot. No, it's not Toot, it's Ione. This time, Torpy out to Foster, the skipper. The defence coming in to just hold him up and prevent him getting across the try line. Tonham appeared a dummy half. Will he be tempted? No, he won't. Fires it out the back in a bit of a rush pass. This time, Torpy. We've got another penalty. Was that pushing into the, pushing in the play the ball, I think. And the penalties continue to flood.
Well, that's at least 5 penalties for the Tigers so far in 20 minutes.
Yeah,
22 minutes.
About this rush on penalties. It becomes whimsical after a while. When it's blatant, yes. This time the big fellow again in, I think that's Foster. Up to play it, Ostwald. No, it wasn't Foster. It was the big fellow in Iono. Out this time to Drinkwater. Drinkwater with a bit of room to move. Fires it up there to Carey. Carey pushing hard for the try line. Over the try line. Can he get it down? Try to Carey. He referred to his touch judge. Made sure that the ground. Now that is good work by Carey, because Drinkwater gave him an opportunity with the flick pass, but he was still under pressure and pushed hard to score it.
Yes, on the back of those consecutive penalties, the Cutters struggling. Drinkwater gets away from Laybutt. Carey comes running straight and hard, and despite the efforts of 2 or 3 of the Cutters, down it goes. So the Tigers strike back. 10 points to 4 in favour of the Cutters. Kick to come for the Tigers.
Yeah, look, very impressed by Scott Drinkwater start of the game. He's been very safe under the high ball. Just watch him here. Just straightens up on the inside shoulder there of the two in defender. Gives that space to Connor Carey. Carey's strong enough to carry the winger and a couple of other guys there over with him and gets the ball. That's a really strong effort from Connor Carey. But don't miss the work there of Scott Drinkwater. What a good little player he is, and just coming around on that to straighten up and give that space to Carey.
Yeah, it certainly was, and that was that excellent offload out the back from Grenke. Just created the extra wrapping space for Drinkwater. So lining up the conversion now from a difficult position. Might have a little bit of breeze behind him, Braden Torpy.
Well, they got that try they desperately needed. Can they get the kick?
It's close. It's there from out wide. Excellent for Torpy. Brings the gap back to 4 points. It's the Cutters 10, the Tigers 6.
Online at ecab.com.au.
For standard cabs, business class and people movers.
Day and night, it's black and white.
So call 13ECAB.
That's 133 222.
Because the major offence of you holding him back from getting the ball outweighs it, yeah. Still outweighs it.
And Braden Torpy is a very accomplished goal kicker. Comes through all the grades as a first choice goal kicker and is very good at it, as we experienced just then.
He's a big lad for a halfback too, Gab. What would he weigh in at? He looks a big tall lad.
Mate, I reckon he'd be in the mid-90s. He's quite a solidly built young lad, and he's got a brother playing down at the Bulldogs as well in the lower grades down there also.
They're bigger these days, aren't they? I think I played front row for Brothers at 75 kilos, but that was a long time ago.
Oh, it's a lifting tackle. It's been allowed. A lot of referees would have blown a penalty there, but on Foster, he did the 360. Nevertheless, he's come out of it okay. That's important. So here's Svensson now. Has had a toiling first half. He's He's worked solidly, as has Grenke. Here's Braden Torpey with a kick. It's deflected, and Yamba Bowie picks it up, gives it to Johnny Falatagoai, and the Tigers down there to chase and cut him down pretty quickly. Ostwell's been doing plenty of tackling. Torpey was there to follow his kick through. Now bring it forward is Kurt Wiltshire for the Cutters, scored the early try. 10 points to 6 in favour of the Cutters, and we've got 14 minutes till half time. Bowie's in a dummy half where he's been a number of times. Carting it up is Jordan Grant. Was with the West Tigers, and they're hoping that he'll produce big things from a big man this season. Now Sam Hoare just charging a little wider of the to the edge. Laybutt puts it up from 30 out. Now this is not to the fullback, this is to the winger, and McAnally's underneath it. Took it solidly.
Comfortably taken. A bit too deep to allow the runners to come through, but having said that, he wasn't able to make too much territory, McAnally, so it was a pretty good result for them. As we get a dash out of a dummy half, picks up some important means. So important that dummy half running when you're trapped after a kick down this end of the park.
I think that's been one of the problems for the Cutters. Those bombs, as you say, David, have been too deep. They haven't really put any pressure on the catcher often enough.
Yeah, and the extra.
The one time they did, they forced them back into the end goal and got to drop out.
And it's a huge difference. Then from that next set, I think they got an opportunity to score a try. So it makes a huge difference. And the extra few metres, Warren, you're picking up on the kick isn't worth the fact you can't contest. Exactly. It's more important to contest. Billy Walters, long kick downfield, gets it in behind the players at the back there. That's Wiltshire, so that's a good kick. Anytime you can force the receivers to go backwards, that means you're going to force them to burn up time. So the Tigers in good defensive shape. The Cutters still coming back slowly as Bowie does what he needs to do as the fullback there, and that's run out of the ruck position. Another good run out of dummy half. So well coached here by the Cutters. It's not rocket science, but Steve Shepherd has got them playing positive football to get it out of their own territory. Go forward, pick up your metres, play it quickly, and get yourself down the other end where you can pin the opposition. You don't want to get on the roundabout where you're consistently on the back foot when you get the ball back. So they've done well. Now, let's see what they do with their bomb this time. Will they force pressure on the receiver? There's a huge kick by Laybutt. It's quite deep. Bit of pressure this time, though, coming from Dunn. He couldn't take it. It'll be knocked on by Dunn. Play on it is. East to try and bring it out of their own territory, and they do. Knock on. We'll go back to the knock on by the big fellow in Mitch Dunn. What an involvement he's had for a big man playing halfback in the heat.
Yeah, that was a towering bomb. Those kicks from Laybutt have been going very high. That was the right length, though. It did really cause problems for Drinkwater at the back. He couldn't come down with it, but it was knocked on.
Let's see the Tigers, how they get out of their own territory here. It's important to use your quick men. You either do flat rucks here to make sure you pick up the 10 metres, or quick play the ball, run out of dummy half. Scoot your quick men out of dummy half. The Tigers.
10 points to 6 in favour of the Cutters on the black and white cap scoreboard.
Speed man in Drinkwater, but he's taking a ruck more so that it wasn't Drinkwater, it was Linkport, so he's coming to help out. There's Walters trying to work his way through the line. Thought about trying to get his hands free, but the grasping defence was just enough to hold him. Send him back here to play the ball. He's moving forward. This is another pet concern of mine, Warren. These penalties for not playing the ball correctly, it really gets me, because it should go back and just say, go back and play the ball again. It is too much of a penalty for the crime of failing to play. It's a penalty in possession. It should not happen. It should be just, listen, mate, wait, you've tried to do it too quickly. Go back there. It'll cost you another 5 seconds and we'll start again.
Well, I agree with that, because that would be a small penalty in itself. However, it's way over the top what we saw last year, David, where blokes were just throwing it through their legs and not even attempting to play it. And if they're going to take the rules and throw the book out the window, David, well, as far as I'm concerned, penalise them.
We're in the entertainment business, Warren.
No. Make the blokes, you watch them, they'll be playing the ball well this year. They just weren't doing it last year.
Well, but then you get a penalty for in possession.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. Send them back. At least I reckon that's a good compromise. But
yeah, but mate, the referees, mate, the bloke can try and he misses it by 0.5 millimetre or whatever.
David, they weren't trying. Sam Cassiano was just throwing it through his legs like tunnel ball.
Oh, well, that was different. That was a New South Welshman. I was talking about the Queensland play the ball.
Anyway, Drinkwater's got the ball for the Tigers. And he's close to the sideline, but he's okay. He stays in. Out it comes. Carey steps off his left and met by some solid defence. This is a pretty tough game we're seeing here, this encounter. Both teams working very hard in defence. Not too many opportunities. The main opportunities are being handed out on the back of these penalties, which have been fairly numerous. Here's Port. Hasn't seen much ball, so he's gone looking for it. Ostwald, short ball, Kafusi, taken from behind by the marker, and he throws it out the back. They keep it alive. Here's Braden Torpy. Torpy's got men out wide. He goes himself. Thought he might have been able to find Tonamapaya there, but
good hands over the top there by Dunn to stop. He's getting his hands free.
Here's Drinkwater, could go close to the sideline. It's out on the full.
I'll tell you what, Dunn forced that again, mate. This big fella, the big number 14, is striding away from the tackle on Drinkwater. Not only did he make a great tackle there on Torpy, but then he came out of marker to put pressure on the kicker and forced him to kick it over the touchline.
Yeah, it was a good effort from the big fella. Gee, he does look athletic, and I mean, he's going to play up most of the first half by the look of it. I mean, going onto the field, we were told he's playing 5'8". I'm not so sure that's exactly where he is playing. He's everywhere and getting through a mountain of work. Here's Chudley at dummy half, just short of halfway for Mackay. Oh, a juggle there, but they've managed to hold on to it.
He played National Youth Cup for the Cowboys, so did Dunn. So I'm not sure he played halfback for him, but he certainly does get involved. He's got an engine, isn't he?
They try to go up the middle with Yamba Bowie again, that outside-inside pass. Here's Chudley, keeps it going same way. It's through the hands of Sam Wright. Kick ahead now. Back there is Drinkwater. Got a high bounce, but he does well, and he's escaped them. Makes good ground here too. Away he goes. Oh, last-ditch tackle. Sam Wright just got to him, otherwise he was away. Here's Linkport, takes advantage.
This is how you play.
Keeps it going forward.
Yeah, good work. This is how you do it.
Now Torpy with the got the offload. Up to halfway in 3 tackles. Good football. Here's Billy Walters. Now it's with Port. He throws the dummy. They really needed to get it wide that time.
Keep rolling them.
Here's Walters at dummy half to Torpy. He puts it to the boot on the 4th tackle. Chase at the back. Bowie goes back. He's missed. Oh, they've all missed it. It's over the dead ball line. And Yamba Bowie will race back to the 20.
Not a good result there for the Tigers. They did so well to bring it out of their own territory with some great dummy half running, the quick men in there, offloading, and then to get to a position 30 metres out with a grubber kick. The idea was right, but you've got to keep it in the field of play. The worst thing you can do is put it dead. Let's see how the Cutters go from here now. Here we go. Here we go. Penalty in possession. What was it for? Was it penalty in possession?
I think he said he fell off the mark or something.
No, I think that was a guy. You know, I don't know. Penalty in possession. When you haven't got possession, it just switches it around.
The Tigers play on quickly. Didn't go for the 2 points from 30 metres out, centre field. So looking for a try to draw level. Ostwald dummy half. Comes out to the right. And that'll be Walters dummying inside to Drinkwater. Goes himself to the outside. They should have finished him off. They're going to pay the price. Is there
obstruction?
Obstruction.
Obstruction on the line. So Walters, who had to dodge around, he's got the obstruction. Walters... well, it was never his intended run initially. He got away well from the big fellow in Shane Wright, who was the left side back rower.
Well, he wanted to dummy inside to Drinkwater, but then he thought we went to the outside instead.
Who did he obstruct on, though? I'm not sure.
See if we can, on the triple play replay, if we can go back just a little bit earlier and maybe just catch that. Might have been where he tried to pass inside to Drinkwater, might have been where the obstruction was. Anyway, a let-off for the Cutters, or they would say a fair decision.
Here we go. Let's have a little look at it. This is Ostwald. Let's a couple of dummy runners go now. Does this man go? Well, he went through the line. There's a man gone in front there. The number 12. Yeah, Grinky was in front of him, and Labour just had to go in behind him.
Yeah, but I don't know. Was a tackler obstructed there?
Well, I reckon that is the fundamental measure that should be applied here. Could the guy ever have made the tackle?
Yeah, I'm not even sure which player was involved. Anyway, it's the Cutters on the attack. They were just escaped at the other end, and now they're only 20 metres out.
He tackled, he's got a hand on him. It's the last tackle.
See, they go back. They used to penalise them for that in the old days. Now they let them go back. That's the way it should be for a play the ball.
He's done. Nice short, sharp pass. Bowie puts it on the toe. Drinkwater read it beautifully. And oh, look out. He's stepping. He's through. Drinkwater's away. Comes up to the 30. Whoa, needed support. Looked inside. Linkport wasn't quite there. Quick play the ball, though. Got to come left. Got to get it out. Don't go through the middle. Torpy's got the ball. Now he gets it out. Young Tonamapaya. He knows he's got a winger there, and he's got McAnally if he can get it to him. Tonamapaya away. Inside McAnally. McAnally will streak away. Look at Dunn giving chase. Oh, great try. Great try by the Tigers from one end to the other. Started by Drinkwater's excellent run. Linkport was there to keep it going. Finally, it was Torpy, Tonamapaya, and then McAnally who got it to the other end of the field. There's a good hit back from the Tigers just 3 minutes before half-time. 10-all.
A good try. Not the first time that Scott Drinkwater's done this today. Straight up the middle, dodging around. Australian schoolboy he was. You can see why. He was just brought down there. Good quick play the ball you want. And then Linkport runs out. That's again what you've got to do. Keep dispersing the defence. Torpy decides it's got to go out wide as Warren was calling for. Then Tonamapaya steps around a little bit, hits the accelerator, back on the inside nicely there by McAnally. And he had enough pace to get away. Gee, that's a good try. This is what the Tigers are capable of. Very sluggish start, but they're getting their act into gear now. And with the score at 10-all, is it?
Another look at the triple play replay.
Yeah, look, it's a really good play here. Scott Drinkwater's just having a wow of a game. And look, they just spread it wide here. Does really well. Gets the two big. Just gets a bit rolled. Gets some looking for that offload. The offload comes eventually to McAnally. McAnally streaks away down the sideline. But gee, guys, put that down to Scott Drinkwater and his excellent returns. He's in the right position every time those kicks come back. Either the grubbers or the bombs or whatever it is, he hasn't put a foot wrong, and he's really getting the Tigers on the front foot and allowing them to start their sets on a roll, and that just continued on in that case.
Well, he's very quick, and he's also got a good sidestep on him, and surely at half-time the Cutters coach will be saying, look, if we're going to kick to that man, we've got to get 3 or 4 guys around him. We've got to get players down there.
Well, I think they did, Warren, but they just weren't there at the right time, and they weren't there in the right numbers, as you say. They weren't in that straight line. They're presenting a staggered defensive line to him. As we look at the goal kick here from Braden Torpy, straight over. Oh, it's hit that post. So we got 10-all here. But you know, just that choice from the Cutters, it's just
Score remains 10-all.
Sponsored by A1 Roofing. Scores locked at 10 points all.
Toners Travel and Cruise. We feel that one of the most important factors in choosing a travel agency is their service, but also their experience and first-hand knowledge. We make sure that all our consultants
We go till the half-time break. You don't seem to get much, there's not much urgency from the Cutters to get play underway again.
I don't blame them for that. Yeah, under a minute to go. They've got, oh, here we go again. A penalty.
Well, I was defending the blitz early in the game, David, but I'm starting to come around.
What are you doing, again?
I mean, they traditionally police that very carefully, and it is very explicit whether you're in front of the kicker. I didn't think
Here, McCoy.
was looking
Hold
where the
Bennett.
ball was going to go, and maybe with the
Don't
wingers
hold
were
on.
too. But there's a lot of pressure now coming. The Tigers with a great chance to hit the front after they were down by 10 points to nil halfway through the first half. So the Tigers was only seconds up to half time. The officials' clock has got 11 seconds. Out there to Billy Wallen, little chip over the top. He wants a lucky bounce, but he's not going to get it. It's going to go dead. It's going to go in touch. Good. In touch, he gets his flag up. I thought it was going to be in play for a while. There's the hooter. We've got half time, 10-all.
It is indeed. The Mackay Cutters and the East Tigers locked at 10-all on the Black and White Cabs scoreboard. It's we'll take a short break and then we'll be back with Toners Travel's half-time review of the action from the first half. 2 tries apiece.
So, I understand there's a knock on, but he still has the right.
The all-new Bellino. See your local dealer or search Suzuki Queensland.
Their management and staff at Triple Play take great pride in the sportswear they produce. To achieve your ultimate in performance and style, make Triple Play part of your team. Triple Play Sportswear, part of the Aspect Group.
You better run, you better hide. I got the eye.
Online at ecab.com.au.
For standard cabs, business class and people movers.
Day and night, it's black and white.
So call 13 ECAB.
That's 133 222.
Become a member at East Leagues Club and you could win a share of thousands of dollars in our weekly membership draws. Also experience our exclusive membership discounts and rewards points to use throughout the club, all for just $2 annually. You should see us at the all-new East now.
It's off the ball!
Get your Swift on at your local Suzuki dealer now or search Suzuki Queensland.
Online at ecab.com.au.
For standard cabs, business class and people movers.
Day and night, it's black and white.
So call 13 ECAB.
That's 133 222.
I'd leave it.
They're right there for you.
You know how like dietitians say, oh no, you don't need
Welcome back to Suzuki Stadium, where we're seeing a ding-dong encounter in the heat here in front of the East Leagues Club. A good crowd in because the Tigers playing at home for the first time this season, but nothing much between these two. They've ripped in. There's been some very good defence. There's certainly been plenty of penalties blown, which have dictated the trend of play. But after the Mackay Cutters scored the first two tries through Wiltshire and Dunn to go out to a 10-0 lead, the Tigers hit back through Kerry and McAnally, and it's all locked up. Both teams have missed one conversion, got one, and David, it's set for a pretty torrid second half.
Oh, look, we've had a terrific first half, Warren. If it matches that in the second half, as we've said before, it is quite warm. Obviously, the heat going out of the later afternoon then. And it may be the Mackay Cutters who appear to have a really big side. Maybe they were most affected by the heat later in the game. Admittedly, it all depends on who's got possession when. If you've got an East Gav are a side that can dart well, can't they? You can dodge and dart around. The big men just seem to struggle a bit in the latter part of that first half.
Well, it's all about the starts of the set, David, isn't it? You know, if you can get a bit of a start to the set, get a quick play of the ball, then it's just a roll-on game from there. And they both got big forwards. They're both going to be hard to get back to those lines and come forward. And because of that, we've seen a number of penalties. So when they get those rolls on, that's when the penalties are coming as well, because of that, you know, that inability to get back to the referee to come forward.
Yeah, and that's when you earn a penalty. I think that's when it's good. When you're rolling on, the defence can't get back. I think that's a penalty you've earned. Some of these other ones, I think, are. I just think it. I think rugby union had such an influence of referees on their game and penalties deciding matches. I just think I'm not against clamping down and getting it right. I think they need to be very careful with the amount of penalties that are being conceded. Certainly that one on the
so they make the break, earn the right,
and then
they're like, it's all one. There's players
go back
fucking
and play it
everywhere.
again, mate.
And then he runs,
and
that last pass,
they lose their advantage. What they're trying to do, aren't they, is trying to get up quickly and play it. They're trying to get that really quick one. and sometimes you don't get your foot on the ball.
It's just a fine balance, isn't it, though, Dave? You know, they've got to play the ball correctly, and I agree that they need to get their foot on the ball. But at times, I guess that you can say that they do. I think if they make the motion of playing the ball at least. Yeah. Then that's acceptable. But if they're just rolling it through like tunnel ball, like we have seen in previous years, then penalise them every time, and they'll soon learn either that or they'll be in second grade.
Yep, there's no doubt about that. How do you see it as it stands, David? I mean, do you care to tip a winner? I mean, there's not much between them right now. I suppose the Tigers are at least the ones who have put the points on most recently, but they have had a lot of penalties. My penalty count has got the Tigers with at least 6 penalties in that first half. Yeah. Now, if the penalties happen to even swing around, they're not going to have that little bit of advantage.
Well, you're right, Warren. I mean, the games these days in the modern era, it doesn't matter if it's NRL or the Intra-Super Cup, are pretty much decided on possession. That's why you get these big swings in scorelines, because one side might have the ball for 10 minutes because of penalties or whatever it might be, and then you get your chance to attack, and it's very hard with the attacking brilliance of the players, but the plays they put on these days, they're all about out-positioning defence. That's what it's about. And then you got your zip men running around in there to try and make breaks. I mean, the game is not greatly different to what it was in the old days, but it certainly is more intense. There's a lot more structure to it. And to answer then your question, Warren, who might be? You'd have to think East at home. They seem to be playing a lot stronger than certainly what they were in the first 10 minutes. I thought they were sluggish in that first 10 minutes. They need to improve on that, and they appear to have done so. So second half, I've been impressed. They finally brought play. You've got to bring your best players into the game, and Gav, as you said, Drinkwater's been terrific. Port's a good player as well. The halves have played well. They just need to control possession, and I think the big men of the Cutters might find it difficult. They're not out of it either, I should add.
Yep. A very competitive half, hasn't it? You know, it's a game of halves, as they say, and a half in, a half itself. You know, 10 points, then 10 points hit back by the Tigers. It's all about playing directly these days, isn't it? Playing direct, playing at them, getting to 2 or 3 in the tackle, and trying to get through that tackle if you can, just so you can find your front and get a quick play of the ball. And it's all about the wrestle in the ruck, and you know, we've seen it all for a number of years, and it's whoever controls that ruck. And everybody's right. You know, it doesn't matter how good the halves are. You can have Jonathan Thurston and Darren Lockyer there if you like. We're just going into the replays now. But you've got to control that ruck before you can score some points.
This is the first try by Wilshire. Pass out through the back line. Labert up there nicely to Bowie, and then quickly out through Samalu. And then Wilshire goes across in the corner. That was around about the 10th minute, so they got off to a good start, but only led by 4 points to 0. They weren't done after that. They were still in a position to score another good try. When I say they weren't done, Mitch Dunn made sure they were done, because he was the next one to get the try.
And here it is on the triple play replay.
Look at this, the dummy by the big fellow, Oswald. He took it, and he's had a good game done, but again...
Just interesting there, Jack Svensson just disputing some aspect of it, but I couldn't see that there was any obstruction involved.
We'll get to see it again. Well,
I think if you have a look here, Babongi goes through as the lead runner again. Doesn't really go through the line, but again, similar to the East no try, doesn't really obstruct anybody. Just sort of, oh well, maybe he did.
Yeah.
He did stop in the line, and he did stop Svensson.
Yeah. He went through into the space, but then stopped. It could have easily kept going, but Svensson was impeded from coming across.
So then the question has got. So he was obstructed, Svensson. The question's got to be, would he have got there to score the try?
I think he would have been able to at least attempt the tackle there.
Could have just knocked him off balance. Here we see another penalty for just preceding his first try. Getting into the ruck too quickly there with the Mackay Cutters to pick up their first try.
And this was a good try too, because it led with Grinky initially to Walters and then to Drinkwater. There's Walters. Gets her. This is the obstruction play. This was the disallowed try, on the basis that Grinky obstructed a player who again visually may have been impeded. We're going to have another look at it. This is worth seeing, because there's a lot of controversy in the NRL at the moment too. So the number 6, the number 12 goes through in Grinky. He dances around, and Labert. Well, visually...
Labert just fell over.
He was visually blocked for one moment, long before the attempted tackle.
Yeah.
That's a fair try.
For mine, that's a fair try.
And he had the opportunity, he had the opportunity to bounce out of that tackle and make the attempt. He was just drifting sideways and got beaten on the inside shoulder.
Yep. I guess the only defence we should make here is the referees are doing it on the run there. They're not watching a replay to do it. So, and I've done a little, not refereeing as such, but I've done training ones. You were in the same, Gav, even as a coach. The number of times you're obstructed when you're out there on the field and stuff's going on, you don't see everything that we see. So he's needed to make.
And look, and the referee would have seen it from a very different angle to what we're seeing, but. My viewing of that is that Leibbart had an opportunity to make a tackle and he slipped over. He was beaten, as you say, Gavin, on the inside. So that's one that got away from the Tigers, but Drinkwater did link up with Carey beautifully for their first try, and then we saw a wonderful run from Drinkwater down the right-hand side on a kick return, and then Tonamapea came with Torpy, came to the left, and McAnally streaked away, so we saw two brilliant Tigers tries to level it at 10-all. We'll take a short break and we'll be back for the kickoff of the second half. That was your Toners Travel halftime review.
Toners Travel and Cruise. We feel that one of the most important factors in choosing a travel agency, their service, but also their experience and first-hand knowledge. We make sure that all our consultants...
The referee just looking for confirmation. Oh no, in fact he needs the tee. They need a kicking tee to get the game underway for the second half.
He just kicked up a bit of turf in the old days.
A little mound of And Braden Torpey will line up the conversion close to the posts. 1 from 2 for him at the moment. And moving into it, hits it firmly straight between the posts in front of the East Leagues Club. And the Tigers hit the lead, 16 points to 10, 5 minutes into the second half on the black and white Caps scoreboard. Yeah, that great, very good try there for the Tigers to get a bit of momentum into the second half.
First time they've been in front, Warren. They were down 10-0 halfway through the first half, so to fight back and get to 16-10 is a great effort. You've got to keep it going. As I say, possession is what really can turn a game. As the big fellow storms back there in Iono. He's a big lad, and he'll be able to take on this big Cutters pack, who lost a little bit of steam after their early start. It's a very hot day, but of course Mackay is all about the heat, so the locals are struggling a little. Oh, punishing defence. What a good tackle that was. Was it Hickson? Number 19 was certainly involved in it, but he wasn't the only one. Could have been the right winger as well in Filet Tagoa.
Yeah, it looked like the big winger, didn't it? Falagoa driving in and absolutely slamming. It was almost... Let's have a look. It's Tonamapea on the end of it, I think, is it? Bang. Yeah, it was Falagoa getting involved. He looks more like a forward there. He's built like it.
And young Hickson in underneath to make sure he cut his legs, and that made the big man vulnerable to the legal tackle coming over the top. Great chance now, one of the few chances they've had for a while to go on the attack. They've got possession about 35 metres out. Every player set out on this left-hand side. Laybutt brings the Bowie back in from the fullback position, but the defence, particularly I think through Willie Walters there, had no trouble. Laybutt again, pops the pass up. The Cutters getting it to almost the 20-metre line. Best chance they've had for quite a while. They've shown they can score a try as well. There's the big fella charging up the middle. Is that Leslie?
Jared Ruiz here. Keep coming. Keep coming.
The big number 17 again. Fatuana. Here he is now. Babongi. And another penalty.
Brett, offside. You're standing in front. There's no quick taps inside 10. Offside.
Okay, another penalty inside the 10. No doubt there's an edict being sent out, and you know I'm not against that.
1 foot on the line. Hold, go.
It makes it a disjointed game. I think the rule is you've got to have 1 foot on the line, I think is the rule for a defender in that situation. Big charge up the middle by the might have been the number 17 again in Faituani. Number 17. This time down a blind side. Babongi tries to use his bulk. Good defence by the Tigers, driving him back. Lost to 5 metres there with a good rapid defence. I think Kerry was one of those in there. Ducked here by Laybutt. He's a danger man. Went straight between two players who both had a good chance to make the tackle. One was Ione and the other one was Grinky. Grinky limping a little bit after that. But Laybutt, the little, not so little halfback, he's got a little bit of size about him. Just took the gap that was offered to him and scored the try. Here's Babongi.
It was a quick hit back by the Cutters. The Tigers scoring 5 minutes into the second half, and only 3 minutes later it's the Cutters who reply. And Laybutt just makes a couple of the forwards look a little slow as Grenke and also Iono both found reaching. One from either side, and Laybutt was gone. He was gone all the way through. And the Cutters back within 2 points with a conversion to come, and you'd think the way Laybutt's been kicking, he'll land this right in front of the triple play replay. Gavin.
Gets there, but no luck. But then Laybutt just sees that little gap and just accelerates through. The two East defenders just about knocked each other out of the way, but not to be. And Laybutt gets over for what will be the equaling try and goal.
And he's landed the conversion from right in front, so the scores are level again at 16 all on the black and white Caps scoreboard.
First try and converts it. Scores again off
Their
that.
management and staff at Triple Play take great pride in the sportswear they produce. To achieve your ultimate in performance and style, make Triple Play part of your team. Triple Play Sportswear, part of the Aspect Group.
Yes, Kyle Labutt, the 22-year-old, made his NRL debut for the Cowboys last year. Spent most of the year with the Blackhawks, but showing that with Mackay, he's going to be a very, very useful weapon. Kick-off well gathered in the end as it bounced short. So order restored as far as the Cutters are concerned at 16 all. And you have the feeling, though, I still believe in the last 10 minutes of this game, these hot conditions and the tough defence that both teams have been putting in are going to open up a few cracks, and we could see a few tries late in the game here.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to happen progressively, Warren. It's very warm out there, and I think if you've got possession and you control it, there's a penalty. There was a hand in there, looked like it was stealing that ball. The big fella there in Fatawani. And this will give the Cutters a great chance. Back-to-back tries in a tight game is so influential. Can the Cutters now go back-to-back off the...
Yeah, I think Harley Aono is sucking him in at the moment.
Yeah, well, they all would be, I think. This is a big man there in Grant. Gets it to midfield. Good position to attack from. They seem to be structured well on that right-hand side.
Hold square, hold.
Labutt's the man controlling the right-hand side. There he is. He's scored the try. Turns the man back inside. Still picks up a couple of good meters. Good quick play, the ball you want now. Just outside the 10. Still a good chance because the defence is pegged back 10 metres. This is done. Little dummy run. Labutt up there to Bowie. Bowie, good pass. Good pass on the outside too. Great work by the Cutters.
Samalu, isn't it?
Yes, Samalu, the left centre. Well, they structured that play well. They initially went right-hand side, held them there. Then that extra man play, the loopy play, put Samalu, had defence sliding, and Samalu was good enough to get across. He could have set his winger up, but decided he saw the try line and would go for it.
Yeah, all he could see was that white stripe, and no one was going to stop him. Through the hands, Bowie joins in. Samalu, little dummy, Port just drifted to the wing. Who could blame him? But when you look at it in retrospect on the Triple Play replay, the man in front, the man with the ball's the one you've got to hit.
Yeah, it is, and you really can't slide on your line, but they probably didn't have too much alternative here. There's just good, slick hands to Bowie. You just see Connor Carey just hanging in there for just a fraction. Probably could have been another metre wider, perhaps, but that's all the space that Salumu needed, and he gets over in the corner to get the Cutters back in front.
What a good game Mitch Dunn has had. He was the man there. That was Labutt who was also in the loop play, but Mitch Dunn very much in there picking up the second man. So good work by the Cutters.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Gavin. They needed to get off their line to give themselves a chance. You can't slide a metre out from your line. They're going to get to the line, whichever one of them's got the ball.
Well, they're just too good and too clever, and they just know their way to the line, these try scorers these days. So yeah, you got to take that time and space away from them. Come forward, you know. But it's not always possible, so that's the way it goes.
And yeah, Carey and Port were just side pedaling. They were like crabs trying to play for something, but the Cutters weren't going to let them off the hook.
Here's the attempted goal from Labutt, which has gone sideways or no goal.
Try to number 3, Mackay Cutters, Nathan Samaru. No conversion. Mackay Cutters 20, Suzuki's Tigers 6.
Toners Travel and Cruise. We feel that one of the most important factors in choosing a travel agency, their service, but also their experience and first-hand knowledge. We make sure that all our consultants...
That's what they desperately need. Possession is the king in the modern game. And good defence, doesn't go astray either. Good work from the Tigers, powerful defence. Well, that brings about getting possession through a power hit. That's one of the toughest rucks in the game from the kickoff, because the defence gets a chance to run 30 and 40 metres to make the hit. If you set up on a normal ruck, you've got a 10-metre run, basically. Here, this is inviting a big collision, and the Cutters have paid the price. What great defence by the Tigers. That will really give them a terrific chance to hit straight back. Have a look at this. Invites the collision. Strong tackle there. Plenty of players in the tackle.
Okay. Second row's in.
Well
Locks in,
done
heads
by the
tight.
Tigers to force that
Forward,
error.
out.
It's a good chance to go on the attack straight away. Pass up this time to Walters. Walters goes to the line. Looks out there to Drinkwater. Drinkwater's going to go himself. Labour comes across him. Cover defence brings him down a metre short. Carry it dummy half. Long pass back to Walters. Gives him a bit of room to work in. Then the pass up then to the big fellow in Tyrrell.
Go, two.
Out the back this time. Torpy goes across the field. Brings it back on the inside. Is that Porton? Link Port, I think it is.
Hold here. Hold. Hold. Go three.
It was young Tonamapaya. Walters back on the inside this time to Drinkwater. Can dance around the defence. Gets to him though. Can't get through this time.
Bend it up. Hold here. Hold.
Referee holding the back on the try line. This time Torpy, little grubber kick through will be a good one if they can keep him in the in-goal area. One brush off initially by the big man on that right side. But he can't get out.
Well, this is good pressure, good professional football by the Tigers, making the Cutters really work and work yet again for another set off their own line. This is good pressure building.
Well, back-to-back.
Probably haven't seen a lot of this in the game.
No, that's right. Back-to-back sixes is very handy, as we know, and the Tigers, they really do need to go on with this. They're the ones trailing now, so you've got to take every opportunity that comes your way. Good kick by Labert, will carry a bit over 40, so pretty good position for the Tigers to start their attack in. Toot it is, gets up to the 30-metre line. Perfect position, midfield. They work down the right-hand side through Oswald. He picks up another 12 metres. Good quick play the ball. If they get him to ground, so that'll use up another couple of seconds. Big charge up the middle there by Tyrrell. Now they're set. They've had a couple of rolling plays. Now they want to put their play on. Billy Walters lets one go. Fires the pass out there to Drinkwater. Beautiful ball to Svensson. That's the way to run the angles. Lovely, lovely play. Couple of rucks early by the big man. Just gets the defence rolling back. And then Billy Walters puts his play on the right-hand side. Drinkwater, I think, just held the pass up nicely. Had options. And he picked up Svensson as the straight runner.
All level at 20 all again, and look, he had options. He could go out, he could go back, he could hit the front man, and look, he picks it up beautifully here, Drinkwater. Looking back, passing flat. Svensson ran a perfect line, hit the hole, and that was lovely, lovely football. Walters to Drinkwater, and then Drinkwater just pulling the right string at the right time. Lovely, lovely football.
Yeah, Svensson only just back on the field to replace Grenke as well. He's moved out to that right edge, and he's run like he's been an edge player all his life instead of a middle. But here we have another look at it again. Toot just takes that decoy line, and that's just great hole running by Svensson. A good offload by Drinkwater there as well, and it was just really money in the bank.
And there's the conversion right in front from Torpy, and that means the Tigers hit the front in this seesawing match. It's 22 points to 20 on the black and white Cab scoreboard. Back after this break.
Their management and staff of Triple Play take great pride in the sportswear they produce. To achieve your ultimate in performance and style, make Triple Play part of your team. Triple Play Sportswear, part of the Aspect Group.
They couldn't have executed better there, the East Tigers. A perfect piece of football. And with, what have we got, 23 minutes to go. Hold on to your seats. This is going try for try, neck for neck.
Yeah, it's been very entertaining footy as the Tigers try and put a play on from the kick-off, and it's gone down. Not a good pass. It was out in front of Linkport. Now, if it had been a good pass, the idea was okay, but it's been very costly.
It looked as if Port might have got away, didn't it? If the pass had been on his chest, but Tyrrell, trying to be so sneaky, he just kind of slipped it a little bit too gently, and it was down low.
Held it up almost too long, and Port may well have been in a gap. Let's have another look. There's the kick-off.
Have a look in that box.
Now, the Tigers used this play from the kick-off in a trial a couple of weeks ago, so I would think that was intended, but it was never on for the day. If it's going to be on, then the winger has to be a bit deeper than that. It was never set to play.
And I think Tyrrell knew he had to get it just right, and he's thrown the pass forward, trying to just get Port past the outside defender.
Okay, this time now the Cutters through the big fellow in Agoa. Again, they hit back straight away. They've been in the habit of doing that. This time Brown takes it forward. They're only 5 minutes. It keeps it alive as well. Pass out the back. Dashing little run. Defence just getting to him. They're in disarray though, the Tigers. They'll need to regather quickly. They've done pretty well. They've got a good straight line now. Oh, strong, powerful attempt to get through the line. Good defence over the top by the number 16 and 2. Here's another punch play straight at the post, held up by the Tigers. They'll have to stop him getting to ground. Well, it's collapsed. Knocked on. He's got it for a knock on. You can go at the ball in the act of tackling or trying to score a try, and it'll be a feed to the Tigers. Great effort by the Tigers there to with some desperate defence, Gav.
Yeah, mate, look, and it was desperately needed there. You know, there's been 3 tries. The last 3 tries have all come from errors from the kickoff set made by the attacking side immediately after they've scored the try. So there was another opportunity there for the Mackay Cutters to indeed do that for a 4th time, but it wasn't to be with some strong defence. The Cutters are really challenging the East in the middle of the ruck, and East so far are standing up to it.
And in all of this, Brett Grenke has left the field. We saw him limping. Mel said he had copped a corky in the first half, so I don't know that we'll see him back today.
And that could have played a part, Warren. He was one of the players that didn't make that tackle on Laybutt when he went through, so maybe he was hindered. It looked like that could have been the case because he limped pretty much immediately after that tackle and I think before, so unfortunate for Grenke.
So here's the burly Dave Tyrrell taking it up. 158 games for South Sydney and an excellent career, including, oh, he's Drinkwater, and he's got Walters alongside. Walters goes back inside. He couldn't link up with Connor Carey, but he plays it quickly. Svensson goes to the left. Walters keeps it going. Torpy now. Torpy gets it wide. Tanamapaya steps inside. Can't get it to his winger though. McAnally left stranded. And the Cutters have got their line intact. It's the 5th tackle. Will they run it or will they kick it? It's Walters kicking it, rebounds.
Not played at.
Not played at, says the ref. Still the last tackle. Tyrrell chips it forward and it's taken. Play on. He didn't get it on the full in the in-goal area and away he comes. It's Wiltshire. Wiltshire out of 1. Wiltshire can't get away from Walters' tackle. Knocks him down a 2nd time. That is a penalty. That is a flop from Billy Walters. Billy, no point in shoving and pushing. You've made them error and it was a bad one.
Well, they got a better result than what would have been a 7-tackle set. Great work to bring it out of his own territory by Wiltshire.
Well, they got undone by the ricochet, really, didn't they? The ball ended up in Tyrrell's hands.
Yeah, and big front rower kicking. I guess he had little option. He was the last man behind. He didn't even have anyone to pass it to, so last tackle play. Babongi charges it forward. That's all you can do now. Hang on to that ball, get some territory, and set a platform for the fancy backs. This time, the big front rower, or the big halfback, I should say, looks like a front rower in Mitch Dunn, gets it up to the 30. Little dummy run there by Brown. Mitch Brown. Here's their chance, the Cutters. Laybutt. Looks on the outside. Again charging now. Have they got their favourite play? They've got Mitch Dunn set up on this left-hand side. He can throw a bit of a dummy, as we know. No, it goes in behind him, back to Laybutt. Well, that was total confusion. The 2 playmakers were set up forward to Dunn and back to Laybutt. They decided to fire back. Maybe a little bit of confusion from the dummy half. I don't think Laybutt was the man who was intended.
No, I think Dunn was the player. I think Laybutt was coming on one of those little sweep lines again, as they tend to do these days. But the communication perhaps not quite there in that instance, and East off the hook again.
I must admit, I thought it came backwards. We'll have another look as it came from the hands of Laybutt. See if it goes forward or back.
These days, Warren, any of
well, it's
those
gone
drops,
through his legs. It has to have gone back. And that is one thing that really irritates me, David. The rule says if it goes forward, it's a knock-on.
You must have been very irritated this year, mate, because every time they've dropped the ball this year, it's been a knock-on.
I agree with that, but that clearly went backwards. And but the Cutters accepted the decision. They know the interpretation. Here's the Tigers trying to get out of their own territory, and Jake Foster, the skipper, leads the way up to the 30.
You don't protect a lead when it's only 2 points. You've got to play fast and hard by the Tigers. You've got to work out of there. Don't go slow.
Tyrrell just charges ahead. 3 to bring him down. He's certainly a burly, strongly built 29-year-old. Here's Billy Walters. Make sure the kick this time.
40-20 if he gets the roll. He's got it. What a kick.
It's the one he was denied in the first half, but not this time. What a beauty.
That was like 3 metres in front of the 40, and he's picked it up 5 metres from the try line. What a kick by Walters.
Just quickly, guys, Joe Bond just come onto the field for his first run. Looks like he's playing the dummy half role.
Okay, there he is now, the number 14, Joe Bond, who played at fullback in the trials. Former Redcliffe player. He's right in the middle of the action now, 5 metres out. After the 40-20, they took the tap and away they go. Torpy inside to Toot, has already scored 1 try, Jared Toot. Just a couple of metres out. Bond, Torpy, he's got Foster, he's got runners, he's got Drinkwater, and Bacanelli close, throws it back inside. Picked up, good work there by Joe Bond to go across and cover. Now he'll straighten it up.
He can run.
Ooh, he ducks underneath Babongi, but he's taken the tackle high.
Yeah, it was all accidental. Just clipped him, I think.
Very unlucky. This is another one of those ones. Again, you're always going to get penalised if you hit him in the head, but Babongi couldn't have done anything else. He could not have disappeared.
I don't take 2 here either, Warren. You're 2 points in front. You've got a chance to seal the deal, and they'll go on with it from here. I think the Tigers.
You'll see here as Bond comes around, and Babongi just comes in as he falls and hits him. So play on with the Tigers, only a couple of metres out now.
That's Kafusi very close. Bond fires a long pass out to Torpy. He's getting a lot of ball. Torpy out there to Toot. Torpy's handled the number of times he's been looking after left side. He is set for the right though this time. There's Torpy. Fires it out to Walters. Walters fades across. Didn't have any runners. I don't know where Drinkwater was. He'd normally be working in and around there. Bond again working the dummy half. Runs, has a look out to Torpy again. Torpy goes the line. Will it stay in the yellow area? It's got to. Oh, just kicked dead by the Cutters.
Foster ever so close there. Jake Foster on that edge, chasing the kick through, and it was within inches of his fingertips. Nicely judged kick there by the halfback.
It's interesting the way, Gav, they use their halves. Torpy still has a, Walters is a very dominant and very good player, obviously, but Torpy still has a big say in ball handling. He shares it around.
Yeah, look, they've had a good combination right through from the under-20s, Dave. They won a competition back in, I think it was 2013 themselves. So they do have that history of working together.
Yeah, you can see that today. I think they've really been seamless the way they've gone about it.
And they've forced the drop out, and here comes Tyrrell. Bounces off the ground and goes another metre. Torpy calling the shots. Bond at dummy half. And charging ahead is Kafusi. 15 out. Got good shape here, the Tigers. The Cutters under pressure. Walters goes to the line, out the back is Drinkwater. Drinkwater for the line, and he's going to score. Drinkwater brings it around. Oh no, he's lost it. What happened there?
Did he slip and go over the dead ball line? He was untouched when he went across the line.
It looked as if he grounded it. Surely he didn't go too far, did he? Maybe
he slipped over and maybe he went with his feet over.
We'll have another look here.
Beautiful play here by Walters. Finds Drinkwater, just waited for the defence to hold up. He's in. Put it down, son. You don't have to improve the position. And he slips over before he gets the ball down. He goes over the dead ball line. Wow, could they rue that?
Well,
what's happening there, mate? You get the ball down.
I didn't score enough tries not to get him down quick enough, Righty, the same as you.
Mate, I did once in the under-18 score a try over the dead ball line, so I feel a little bit sorry for you. Was Kalinga Park, the lines weren't real good.
At this level of football, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. That was a major mistake. He wasn't even the goal kicker.
He was well over the try line. They had the 6-point lead. Here now the Cutters. Laybutt's going to be happy to go for the touch line and just gets it. It'll come back to a 10-metre scrum. And what they're going to do here is they say, okay, you got to get your way out of here. We're going to try and force an error. Get ready for some big hits, because he's gone with a semi-defensive play. I'm not saying it's not the right one, with 12 minutes up to full time. And Laybutt was happy to take, 20 metres maybe, even though it finds touch there, the scrum isn't packed.
Just getting back to that no try by Drinkwater, I mean, the in-goal areas here would be standard size. Drinkwater's not that familiar with this field. He's only played here once, I think, before, at the beginning of last year, before he transferred from the Tigers to the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, they're a good deep in-goal area. There's no reason that he shouldn't have scored that try.
And he burst through the tackle right on the try line. He's gone a long way to get over the dead ball line.
He's had a fantastic game, Drinkwater. It's just a shame that's happened to him. Very lush turf here, and but gee whiz.
Well, for his sake, the Tigers better get away with this game.
Exactly. He'll want to make up for that if he can. He'd love to go on another darting run. He's had a terrific game, Drinkwater, but gee whiz.
2 points in it. The Tigers with their noses in front with 11 minutes to go. And here's Toot up the middle.
It was as if they were 4 points behind. It needed a converted try to get in front. They're in front by 2.
And the kick from Torpy, his kicking game is coming to the fore now. He's keeping this team well organised when it matters.
Straight down the throat of the winger though, that's can be costly relative to Tago. Bowie comes up the middle. There's still a chance, and the Cutters will absolutely know that. They're working it up steadily, I'd say. I don't see any charging runs, but they're just going to work it up. Flat rucks. The Bongi turns it back on the inside. Looks there for the centre in Summerlow. Into the opposition half, so you can start looking to move it around a bit. They fire it out on that right-hand side. Gets through the line. Make sure he doesn't make a mistake, though. Close to the touchline. Just stays in the field of play. Last tackle. Will they elect to run it, or is Labour going to put it up? Labour goes to the line. They do run it. Spins back on the inside. The big fella, another punt. Oh, intercept. Intercept by Billy Walters. Great work. Oh, and he's taking it off him as well. Play on. Forward pass. So he's gone for no advantage, and he's thrown the ball away now, and it's gone to a penalty to the Tigers. So it's a double whammy, but he's called the run of play that Walters intercepted a forward pass, and therefore if they then lost the ball, which they did in a steal.
Well, I thought the pass that should have been called forward, or was called forward, was just a little bit that one. I thought that was forward, and whether or not he was allowed, I don't know why the whistle didn't go earlier. Yeah. Do you reckon it was the pass that was intercepted?
Yeah, I would say so. That's what it appeared to be. Otherwise, he wouldn't have called play on.
Exactly, yeah. Now the Tigers. Boy, what a game we've had here today. It's had everything, really, and it's a 2-point game, and anyone can win it.
Yeah,
9 minutes
not over yet by any means.
No way.
Kafusi just short of the line for the Tigers, and Drinkwater goes into dummy half. Cuts out Toot to go to Walters. They're working it wide to Svensson. Svensson breaks a tackle, but knocked over now. Laybutt got his ankles in the end. Bond to Toot. Toot goes just a little bit wider. Babongi still work. Oh no, that is Babongi in there. He's had a good game for the Cutters.
Drinkwater a dummy half. Is he going to run out of there? No, he's going to work the right.
Drinkwater to the right. Walters inside. Oswald was nearly through with Drinkwater in support. Oh, nice play by the Tigers, but a hand in there knocked it down.
Nick Brown, the big front rower. You had these little zip men coming up the middle. Drinkwater fired to Walters, back on the inside to Oswald, and just the hand of Brown. Oswald would have scored under the sticks. Have a look at this. Turned it back on the inside. No, it wasn't Oswald that would have. It would have been Drinkwater that would have scored under the sticks. Oswald took the run.
It'll be an East scrum feed here, though.
But Brown has kept them alive. There are times when you don't want those tap downs, but that was desperation. He had to do it. Great work there by the big front rower, and Nick Brown protecting his middle. Now can the Tigers, can they seal the deal here? Walters to feed. He'll need a long pass. Now they're going to work the blind side. Little trick play to Drinkwater. The little trick play. Well, the Melbourne Storm have used it before. Well, plenty have, actually. But you've got to be good to put it on. What a great little play. They'd stacked the left-hand side. They then had the lock forward pick it up. The halfback steps away from the scrum. You go wide. Look like you're going to go wider. Bang up the middle. Drinkwater. Have a look at this.
Yeah, it's beautiful to watch, isn't it? Inside from Oswald to Drinkwater, and look how quickly Drinkwater gets the ball down this time. He was diving before he got to the line. Wasn't going to make that mistake again. It's a great try for the Tigers. Important one, the kick to come. They have a 6-point lead to go to 8.
Yeah, look, very, very well organised play. As you say, a lot of teams do it. The most famous one I can think of is the 2016 Grand Final, where the Sharks put it on and Ben Barber scooted over, and exactly the same thing. It was a storm on the storm. It was by the Sharks. So very important points there for the Tigers. Very important kick coming up here for Braden Torpy, which would stretch the lead if successful out to 8 points.
Well, Scotty Sybil, the coach, should be so happy with that. You'd think this is not the first time they've spoken about it. This was absolutely premeditated. The defence was just mesmerised by it. You really got to admire. I mean, people think rugby league is a bash. Some people think it's bash and barge. There's a lot of skill and deception in the game, and that was there, exemplified it. Great work, inside ball, and the Tigers, what do we got? 26-20, it ain't over yet. Important kick.
It certainly is. Braden Torpy taking his time. He knows how vital this is. Takes a deep breath. Concentrates on the posts. This to get an 8-point lead. And it's on its way, it's swinging away, hits the upright for the second time. The uprights have been hit. So it remains 26-20 in favour of the East Tigers, and we've got 5.5 minutes to go.
Maruka Suzuki provides you with exceptional service, and we try to make the buying experience as smooth as possible. Located on Ipswich Road in Maruka.
The all-new Baleno. See your local dealer or search Suzuki Queensland.
So important for the Tigers to get through this set of 6. And so important for the Cutters to force the error. The game may well hinge on the success of this play. Again, don't play slow here. Get it out of this area of the park. This is the danger end. Use your speed man, and there's Drinkwater in to help out again. Well, he has made up for that error previously as they go down to blindside the Tigers. Turn it back on the inside, take a bit of a chance. Drinkwater picks it up, but slips over. Maybe he needs to check the studs on his boots.
Go 3.
Lush surface here at well, good work, Torpy. Let that man go. Out there to Dave Tyrrell.
This is where you need to close the game out, David. You've got the lead.
Yeah, and that means either scoring the points or keeping the pressure on. Just put it down in the pocket. Svensson, he does well. Don't give away a soft possession. So here it is, last tackle play. Torpy, got to keep it in the field of play. Taken there by Wiltshire. And he'll at least bring it back to the 20. The Cutters are still a chance. Good crowd here of East supporters today, and they're on their edge of their seats. They didn't win last week. They got beat by a point. The Cutters didn't win either. They're both desperate for points. Their first points of the season in the second round of the Intrust Super Cup. They work down this right-hand side. Fatigue is a big issue now in defence. You've got to push yourself. You've got to get up off the line. Don't give them territory to work in. There's the big fellow in Dunn. Up there to Labour, steps around. Can he beat that tackle? Does get away from Svensson, but assistance there from Walters. And Svensson came again. Good work by Svensson. You need to push yourself here. Up the middle, the big man. That'll be a big charging run. It'll set a platform for this play. I think that was the big fellow in Hoare. Come down the blind side. Here's the kicker. Catch it if you can, off the side of his boot. I wouldn't be touching it if I were the Cutters. Picked up by, this will be the 6th tackle.
He's lost it.
He's lost it. Wow, this is another chance. When I say I wouldn't have been catching it by the Cutters, actually I would have had a go at it. Instead, they got away with this, and now, through the drop ball, they're going to get another chance to, well, at least tie this game. There's no golden point in the Intrust Super Cup.
Well, I thought the Tigers would let that bounce 40 metres out. They might as well have let it bounce, but Carey actually caught the ball, then lost it as he was hit immediately afterwards. So a big error there by Carey, one way or the other.
A 6-pointer here by the Cutters would make it a draw. Can they do it?
Well, they're the sort of side that with Labour calling the shots, who can easily create 6 points here. So we've got a very exciting 3.5 minutes to go. Here's Bowie. Gets it out to the winger joining in. He's been involved in the play quite a lot there, fella Tagoa. He's been in closer most of this second half. He's played a strong game too with the head strapped up all day. Nick Brown goes a long way here, only 10 metres out, in centre field. Which way are they going? They're deep on the left. Instead, Labour. Oh, he's lost it, Labour. He just got bumped by Tyrrell. That was all it was, and he's lost the ball.
Great tackle there by Tyrrell. He watched the inside play by the little halfback. It's often so dangerous for a front rower to be able to contend with a halfback coming back the other way. And Tyrrell, well, that could be the tackle that saves the Tigers.
Yeah, I don't know why Labour was going back in there. I thought the go was to go deep to the left. Anyway, it's McAnally for the Tigers, and they're in control again, leading by 6. We've got 2.5 minutes to go at Suzuki Stadium. Here's young Tonamapaya, struggling a few more metres, 10 short of halfway. Now they have to work in defence, the Cutters. They need another mistake, got to force an error. Linkport's not going to give it to them. He's on his back. Oswald dummy half. Torpy just needs to get the kick away and find the sideline. That'll do it for now. Yes, the clock will stop, but nevertheless, East were able to get their breath, and for the next defensive set, they can just steady down and take it calmly.
Yeah, it will stop when this scrum is formed. So as soon as you've got one scrum formed, the clock now stops. There's the referee signalling so. In a lot of ways, it's the fastest way to stop the game these days by kicking into touch. So I'm convinced that it's always the best ploy, but they've got them on the back foot here. Big set of 6 in defence.
Gavin Payne, you're coaching the Cutters. What do you tell them now? What's the message you send out?
I just don't think they changed what they've been doing. They've been working hard up the middle and then going the edges with Laybutt and so forth. So I think they've got to keep trying that, unless they got a special player, chicken little flea flicker or something.
I reckon they'll have to resort to it because this is their last set of 6.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect that they'll get their hands on the football unless there's a mistake or a penalty other than this 6. So this is the big shot. Oh, I lost it.
That's a steal.
Oh, it's a penalty.
That was a steal.
That's a penalty. Now this kick will take them inside the east half.
Territory, that's what they were just begging for. So that's the last thing you wanted. This time Dunn, who's had a good game, the big number 14 who's slotted into the halves.
He can do everything.
The game. Let's have another look. Was it a steal? Raking action. Wow, that's interesting because it was when he hit the ground that the ball seemed to be dislodged. Now they've got a chance. Laybutt goes to the line, pops it straight up. Nowhere to go there. The defence is strong, but he stays away from that defence. Back up to the big fellow. They'll charge through. Oh, he tried to get his hands through. He does so. This is what it'll be. It'll be helter-skelter. Dunn has thrown a dummy and scored a try already in this game. Gets to the 10-metre line. This is their chance. This is the roll of the dice to tie it all up. The big fellow in Brown. Back again. Babongi. He can break a tackle as well. They'll keep this up. Laybutt breaks another one. Looks for anybody. Bowie. Bowie wants somebody inside. Good defence it was, though. He gets through. The big guy again in Hoare. Well, can the smarts get them across?
17 seconds to go.
Pass up this time to Dunn, fires on the outside. Bowie puts it through, could be a try. No, he's missed it. Oh, hang on, he's got it down. Has he got it down? I think he has. The referee's going to award it. It's a kick to draw it. It's a kick to draw it. What a kick by Bowie. The little grubber kick. There's the hooter. So at this stage, the Tigers, 26-24. Who'd want to be a goal kicker?
Well, Kyle Laybutt might want to be that goal kicker. If he kicks it, he's going to bring the house down here. Everyone watching on Tiger TV in Mackay is starting to get down on their knees and start praying right now. It was a good try. They worked it wide. The kick went through. Look at this from Bowie. Slots it through and racing through that huge winger. He's managed to do it again. Johnny Falatagoa, he's been everywhere in the second half.
He got a really tricky bounce too when it jumped up and gone past it.
He didn't knock it on, and he gathered it in anyway.
Yeah, the touchy was totally happy. He was right on the spot. The referee blows it.
Gavin, what do you think?
Yeah, gee, I just want to have another look at that put down, boys. He did get a tricky bounce. Just needed someone in his ribs as he was reaching high to stop that try, but there was nobody there for the Tigers. They'd all come up to try and shut it down. Just have a look at this put down. Yeah, looks okay. Looks okay.
Downward pressure.
Well, it was 10 all at half time. It was 16 all. It was 20 all. And now we've got 26-24 in favour of the Tigers. But after full time, Kyle Laybutt is lining up this conversion. He's a left footer. He's got it just a few centimetres inside the sideline. There's no wind really, I don't think, to speak about. So it's all up to Kyle Laybutt. Can he draw the match with this kick?
What do you think, Warren?
Right, who knows, David? Here he goes.
Hits it well.
It's close. It's waved away. And Kyle Laybutt limps away as well. In fact, he's got a cramp as he attempted that kick. But the Cutters go over to console him. He certainly played well throughout the match. But the Tigers have scraped in 26 points to 24 at full time in round 2.
Well, it's good to be back at the Intra Super Cup, Warren. What have I been missing? That was a really entertaining game. The standard was good, the temperature was warm, and I guess we lost a little bit of intensity as the game wore on, but we didn't lose any of the determination. And I was really impressed. The Tigers were down 10-0 at one stage, came back, as you say, it was 10-all at half time. They kicked away, and then the Cutters came back, but just couldn't convert in the end. 26-20. Maybe a draw would have been a fair result, but the Tigers will take it. Very important for them, of course, their first win of the season.
And we said before the game that, you know, as you say, David, it was important to win. You didn't want to go down starting the season with 2 straight losses.
And both teams had that.
either way, I think Scott Sibley will be pretty happy to have those 2 points in the bag today.
He'd be a coach as well. Never mind a goal kicker, eh? Bad ankle. But yeah, look, all credit to both sides. It was pretty nip and tuck in that first half. It was tough in those hot conditions. Obviously, that was going to take an effect, and it did on both sides. The game opened up in that second half as the tired forwards, they couldn't do the work that they were able to do in that first half, despite the interchange used quite well by both coaches, I thought. And it just opened up for those little men like Drinkwater, like Laybutt and so forth, and they took advantage of it. And it was a real thrilling game. I'm pleased to be back at Langlands Park and Suzuki Stadium as well, having a look at the Tigers and Mackay running around. We'll be back again in another week or two to bring more games.
Yeah, well, I thought both teams were pretty professional in the way they went about it in the last 20 minutes. When they got to the opposition 20, they played pretty well, but that last penalty for stripping against the Tigers opened the door one more time. That wasn't great. Of course, Drinkwater stepping over the dead ball line when he should have got the ball down for a try. That wasn't great, but I thought outside of a couple of errors like that, if you go through the last 15 minutes in fairly arduous conditions here, both teams have actually played it out pretty well. I mean, finishing with that fine kick by Bowie and the good finish from the winger. Fella to go, who was, I don't know whether he's a forward or a winger, but he was everywhere in the second half, the big winger.
And what you're really hitting on, Warren, is there was very few unforced errors in that second half. Errors came through big defence, but it wasn't just bad mistakes by either side. They really played some good footy. I was impressed with a number of players. I thought the big fellow Dunn, who came on for the Cutters, he did a
played at 5'8", but he was another player who bobbed up all over the field.
With the Tigers, Scotty Simmel would have to be happy with. Well, Scotty Drinkwater played really well, Gav, didn't he? Whenever Walters got involved, he was slick as you'd expect. I thought Torpy was good.
Yeah, mate, look, the halves controlled the game reasonably well. They've still got a fair bit of work to do, I think, around that. Drinkwater was, for me, the standout player of the game, as we called all through the match. Oswald held that the middle of the ruck there pretty well also. Kafusi did his work. Dave Tyrrell showed his experience. He sort of held that together a little bit. Made that critical error. Got that error out of the Mackay Cutters as such, and there was just little things that happened at crucial times for both sides, and it was a nip and tuck game as we saw, which could have gone either way. Unfortunately for the Tigers, they've got away with it.
10 tries scored today. I mean, it's an entertaining game, and it wasn't as if the game was just open and they were running at will. Those tries have to be earned.
I would think the completion rates would be pretty satisfactory. I'd like to be up around 75% for the game, is my impression. I don't think there was a lot of loose passing or drop ball. No. They're above average number of penalties, definitely, but that's partly
the crackdown.
Don't get me started, Warren. I won't get you started. That's partly due to the crackdown. It's partly due to players making errors.
But Warren, you do say that the penalties do, and there may have been a little bit of excessive, but that opens the game up as well. If you're keeping the sides a good 10 metres apart, it gives the Drinkwaters and the Laybutts and these guys, the Walters, the opportunity to take the football to the line and go at retreating defences or defences that are tired. And that's the exciting part of the Queensland Cup. We very rarely get a 10-8 game or a 14-12 game or something. Usually that's a half-time score, and as the game wears on, the players get tired, and it does open up and it does create opportunities for these skillful players who are on the verge of playing NRL, many of them, and just looking for that opportunity, an injury or a loss of form by someone up in the NRL to get in and show their wares in that skill. And many of those players out there today are looking for that opportunity and will go on well, if given that opportunity, to play well in NRL clubs.
So just recapping the score, the Tigers have defeated the Mackay Cutters 26 points to 24 here at Suzuki Stadium. And if you just look just behind Gavin's shoulder there, Tiger TV is what you're watching. Make sure you keep following us on tigertv.net. You can also join Tiger TV via the East Tigers website, of course. Have we got some highlights, technical crew? Tiger TV technical crew hard at work behind us. In a moment we can take a look at some of the highlights of the second half. But just going back to that first half, the Cutters scored the first 2 tries. Tigers hit back with 2 tries before half-time, 10-all. Tigers came out and scored within 5 minutes of the beginning of the second half, but it was only 3 minutes later the Cutters came back and piled on 2 tries within 3 minutes. So there was a lot of action early in the second half, which I didn't expect. I thought both teams would really grind it out. Instead, they came out firing. The Cutters got ahead 20-16, and it really was one of those games. The score was seesawing. It was tit for tat, and both teams didn't give an inch.
No, look, I think they could both be satisfied. Obviously, the Cutters, to go so close, they needed the win just as bad as the Tigers did today, so they'll be disappointed that they didn't get the result. But comparing with, they copped a hiding last week against the Blackhawks. To come back and put in that performance, I think Coach Shepherd would be at least seeing improvement, which is what you want at this time of the year. So I think, both coaches will say, well, we had a go. Shepherd will be disappointed with the result, obviously. But, look, I think they both played very well, and I'm looking forward next week now. I think we've got the Ipswich game next week here on Tiger TV.
Saturday, 5 o'clock. Next Saturday?
So that'll be interesting, because Ipswich beat the Blackhawks yesterday. In a close...
2 points.
Yeah, in a close match. So they've tipped one of the red-hot favourites, playing their entertaining brand of football. So I'll be interested to see just how they go here next week, and I'm sure the Tigers will go in confident.
Yeah, look, I was invited to the season launch for the Jets a couple of weeks ago, and the coaches out there, the Walker boys are very confident and very pleased with how they've recruited in the off-season. They've gone for a lot of speed. So he said, that they've got a lot of speed players out there. Marmon Barber's back, then some other players that they're looking to play that different style of football that they have. But, if they get that half opportunity, that half break, they don't believe anyone will catch the players that they have speed-wise. So it'll be an interesting game. It'll be a different sort of game to what we saw today that the Jets play, but equally as entertaining, no doubt.
Yeah, in fact, just recapping on those results so far before this game today, in the round 2 of the Intrust Super Cup, Ipswich defeated Townsville 20 points to 18. Burleigh defeated Redcliffe 25 to 12.
And I see Ben Hannett played for a little while yesterday.
He was listed on the bench to make a comeback. Yeah, he did. He had a run.
No, he ended up with a sore hamstring, which I'm not surprised. But he's keen to play a few more games, obviously, this year. And I'm all for that. I like to see those guys. Gav, here at East, Steve Reynolds played at East in his last season, I think, and Darren Smith is the assistant coach.
Yep.
I think that's a win-win. It's good for, providing the body is okay, you can keep playing. You're going to transfer some knowledge to the younger ones, and it just adds a bit of profile. So Ben Hannett.
Dave Tyrrell here this afternoon as well.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, he's a guy, Dave Tyrrell's a great example. He's a guy who suffered from, compartment disease
syndrome,
or something. Yeah, syndrome, which took a whole lot of strength out of his leg muscles. He had to have an operation to correct.
How long ago was this? How far
this
back?
Is a young kid.
Oh, right.
He nearly finished his career at 19 years of age, and he just kept fighting on, Tyrrell. Played in that grand final for South Sydney. So you've got to admire these guys, and he's now helping transfer some more knowledge in the game. We've got a couple other games there, Warren, that have just come through.
Yeah, well, I was just going to recap the other ones already played before this one. Northern Pride defeated PNG 26-14. The Capras went down to Norths 36-16. What have we got today? The Sunshine Coast have defeated Wynnum Manly by 23-22, just the 1 point in it. And then, of course, this game, the Cutters just falling short against the Tigers, and South Logan have defeated Tweed Heads 28 points to 10. So, what it means is Burleigh and Norths have both started with 2 wins. Redcliffe and the Capras have started with 2 losses. And let's see, the other one there you just had was the win by South Logan. I think South Logan got up last week, didn't they? No, they did over Redcliffe.
Yeah, there's your premiership table.
Yeah,
mate.
So South Logan have put together 2 wins and actually on points for and against. They're at the top of the ladder. So pretty good start for the South Logan Magpies.
Yeah. So, it's just such a good competition, the Intrust Super Cup. What a footprint! I think there's 7 regional teams, 5 from sort of southeast Queensland. You got Papua New Guinea and you got the Tweed. Any sport would give anything to have a competition with such a good footprint. So it's a credit to the Intrust Super Cup. I think the footprint in New South Wales is improving in terms of their Intrust Championship. But this is a terrific competition. The only one I still can't understand, Gav, maybe you can help me. Why is Toowoomba not in the Intrust Super Cup? They were years ago. They won the first one in '96
when they were Broncos affiliated.
No, originally they came in as their own entity,
individually.
And then they won one as the Broncos as well. So
yeah, look, I can't answer that question, David. And
Gavin, just before you go, I just want to see if that mic, just try it that way, see if it's a little bit better. Yeah, it's distorting a bit.
That's fine for me. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit better. Yeah.
Okay.
No, a bit more.
Toowoomba were in the comp.
No.
And they are very much a nursery and have been for many years for rugby league. competition for the last 3 or 4 seasons. Whether it's, is it with that a QRL level or it's something else, I'm not aware of.
My recollection in those days when they won it in '96 and then they won it as the Broncos a couple of years later and then dropped out altogether. I think there was something going on with the local clubs. They couldn't just, get to acknowledge or support. Yeah, but that's happened everywhere else. Why is it Toowoomba? I just think they're a great rugby league nursery, and it wouldn't be any new news to the Queensland Rugby League. I'm sure they're all over it, but to me, it seems to be the missing link in what is a terrific footprint for rugby league throughout Queensland.
Yeah. All right, Tiger TV Tech Team. Have we got some highlights to take a look at? Highlights of the second half? Yes. Highlights of the second half coming up. But remembering it was 10-all at half time. And it wasn't long. 5 minutes into the second half, this is what happened.
Yeah, Toot scores this try. Oswald back on the inside, and then Toot changes direction, spins around, forces his way over. So good work for Ostwald, who played a bit of a versatile role. He started at hooker, but did quite a bit of open field running, and he made a bit of a difference. There it is again, Gav, just turning it back on the inside. Took 3 players going the wrong way, and Ostwald then puts
just
back coming the
just
other way.
That change of angle, David, isn't it? Just caused a little bit of confusion there, and they hadn't come up very well on the inside shoulder there of Oswald, and Toots in the right position, and did very well to get across the try line there.
Of course, interesting too with Chris Oswald playing at hooker. Tom Butterfield will be back in a few weeks' time and available for first grade, and so it could be a good battle for the hooking spot.
You talk about running angles. That's a classic example. Torpy going one way, coming back the other. This is the Tigers. Oh, this was that punishing tackle by
fella Tagoai.
Yeah, he scored the last try as well, but this was a critical stage when the Tigers were looking to retain possession, and he came in with that big hit.
Tonamapaya, I think, copped it.
Yeah. Dave, that was the kickoff set from that try that they scored. So immediately we always try and get the complete the set after you've scored points to consolidate those points. In a number of instances, this was the first one. They couldn't. The Tigers couldn't do that, and you'll see the result in a moment.
Yeah, and the result I think for the next try was when Labert went through on a solo effort.
Yeah, through the dummy, and 2 of the Tigers forwards were just a little bit too slow to close the gap. It wasn't just the dummy. In fact, he accelerated almost before he threw the dummy. It was too quick for them. If we can bring that up in a moment. But yeah, that happened only 3 minutes after the Tigers lost this ball, or had scored their last try.
And one of the players that was in defensive role, here's the Cutters again on the attack. This is Babongi. This is a good run here to set up for this play. Labor at the number 7. Well, went to a penalty there for inside the 10.
Comes from here, I think.
That was the lead-up play to it.
They take 3 rucks here to really challenge the forwards and then bring them in, and then Labor does his stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought Babongi had a strong game, particularly in the first 20 minutes. He set the pattern for the rest of the team.
This is the 3rd ruck here.
Yeah, this is the one preceding the try. Forces some defence going to the right-hand side there, the defence's right-hand side, and Labert, he won't get an easier try here. Grinke was injured at that stage. They both slipped over, Grinke
and Harley Iono, who just couldn't close that gap.
Just have a look at Grinke coming off the line. If we see another replay there, you will see that he's got a hobble up already. Just after this ruck, you see him in the background there. He just comes into the right of the screen here shortly. He's obviously struggling. There he is, hands on knees there. Just watch him come off the line here.
Yes.
He's carrying that leg, isn't he?
Well, you've got to put that down as an error to have sent him out there for the second half with a corked muscle. I mean, I know it's tempting to see if he, can get a bit of movement back into it, but he was limping before that back up field. As Mel Tabet told us that he had a corky, I looked at him, he was already limping, so he was never going to get through.
Corks don't normally improve. They're only going to get worse. So
particularly in round 2 of the season, you just want to...
Now, obviously, they might have given it a bit of a rub and made it feel a little bit better, but they just keep hardening
But all the same, Labert might be smart enough to have seen that limp. He might, you're looking for a weakness any time and then you exploit it. Harley Iono, a big man on the outside, even though it was only 5 minutes or 8 minutes into the second half, he couldn't change direction, and look at that, he just split them.
He might have been listening to our commentary, Warren, somehow.
16
all
that
Grinke was injured.
Play Mike or something, perhaps.
This is the play out the back that they get involved, and then Sumalu gets across nicely for that try. But a nice little loop play created, done through the dummy, and then he had Labert coming around.
Yep.
There's the big number 14.
I mean, we always criticise the defenders in this situation. It's very difficult to make the right decision if the attack does put the play together, and they do it just right here, Mackay. Look at the well-timed pass there from Bowie. He just drew in Connor Carey. That meant Port was in two minds as well. But they didn't get off their line, did they, Gavin?
They didn't, Warren, you're exactly right. The only thing that they could perhaps do there is if Billy Walters can release Connor Carey a little bit earlier. Tell him he's got the Bowie coming around on that sweep play. If he could just give him that commentary and say, let him go, I've got him. But it wasn't there. I don't know that communication was there. And I don't know whether Billy Walters...
I don't know whether he did have him.
So, that's perhaps a correct call there from Billy, but yeah.
And yeah, to those plays, these plays are designed to hold the defence in, to not allow them to move sideways. So they're going to hold, and then they're all of a sudden in panic stage. So you're right, you've got to be able to crash in and get them, otherwise you're in big trouble. But that was the result.
There does seem to be a reluctance to leave it as a one-on-one tackle anymore. And that's another reason you've got to get off your line, to maybe give yourself a chance one-on-one, because the player is going to drag through the tackle. If you go one-on-one, he's going to continue the momentum for another 2 or 3 metres, and he'll go over the line. But everyone's drifting in to make it a 2-on-1. They don't seem to have confidence that anyone can make a one-on-one tackle anymore.
Yeah, I guess I tend to agree. There's another try here coming up, I think it was, for the Tigers. But I agree, mate. But still a good, strong legs tackle. You can bring him down pretty quick, but that's not the case anymore.
This is Svensson's try, and this is a good try. Talk about running angles and running gaps. This is when they bring it back the right-hand side eventually to Walters, and then Drinkwater loops and gives it to Svensson running that beautiful line. I really felt sorry, if that's the right word, for the left centre in Samula. Now, this is this little grubber kick. This is the one that continues to force the goal line dropout. But
good chase.
Soon after that, this try comes up, and really... the number 3 for the Cutters, he was caught between a rock and a hard place. Here it goes. Look, Walters pointing, has a block runner round the back, and the poor old number 3, he didn't know, because he had Carey coming out and Svensson coming through. He was then lost. Then he really didn't know who to take and took no one.
Yeah, in the finish, it's just the deception of the play that has resulted in that try. It's everybody doing their job. Billy Walters here, he straightens up. Toot does his work, Drinkwater's there as well, and then Svensson just runs his line, which is directly on the inside shoulder, as all the coaches tell you to do. Run inside shoulders of guys. If they're drifting out, they'll get a hand on you maybe at best, but they won't be effective in knocking you over, and that was run to perfection.
It was a perfect piece of attacking football, and very little the defence could do to stop that. I mean, they couldn't have, 5 players involved, and they couldn't have done it better, could they? Yeah. What else could you ask for? That has got to be very satisfying for those 5 players, the team, and the coach.
Absolutely, and you know that's what you put all the hard work in for. That's why you train 4 nights a week for those sorts of results.
So at that point, after Svensson scored, it was 22-20 in favour of the Tigers.
Yeah, and it wasn't over then. This is the Cutters going close, but they don't score here. The Tigers are the next ones to score, and just as well they did, because this is just them working up to get in attacking position, the Cutters, but they don't score from this. Let's have a look what we're going to see here. Charging run, he loses the ball, I think, ultimately.
That's right. Late it comes out, yes.
So good defence there to stop the big man who would have otherwise been under the sticks. Babongi throws his hands up and says, how did you get that decision, sir? But that's another indication of some good, strong defence by the Tigers. They hung in there. They had a narrow lead at that stage by 22-20. And we had an amazing, this is the 40-20 by Billy Walter. This is a massive kick. This is not 40-20. This was like a 30 to 5, yes, terrific kick, and it's not a hailing gale. It's almost a still day. Terrific kick by
and remembering Billy Walters very nearly pulled one off in the first half as well, missed it by half a metre on the touch judge's call, which it looked like it could have been more generous.
Is this the lead up to the try when he slips over eventually? No, that won't.
This is Jake Foster going very close, saved at the back. Close. Nice kick through, and Jake Foster went within a whisker, but Bowie just got there in front of him.
thought Torpy, good little grubber kick there. Not easy to kick straight ahead and keep it in the in-goal area.
But what they did, it forced a drop out. It came off Bowie, and this was the end result.
And is this where Drinkwater goes over the dead ball line? He's put into space. He's had a terrific game, Drinkwater. Loops around again, as he often did. Walter's calling the shots. Couple of dummy runners. Drinkwater into space. He's in plenty of space, but he slips over the dead ball line before he got the ball down. And that could have been big problems because they still only led 22-20. But to Drinkwater's credit, I think the next one is the trick shot from the scrum. This is the play where another replay of this one, Gav.
The interesting thing there is 2 defenders went to Connor Carey and left the gap on the inside for Drinkwater to go through. Now, on that occasion, rather than you watch Samalu, number 3 for the Cutters, to me, he just has to make a tackle, straight go head to head on Drinkwater. He comes in here, leaves the hole, 2-on-1 on the outside, the man who doesn't get the ball.
Yeah, the winger had come in as well, so yeah, it's a tough decision that you got all these folk running at you. Oh, that's the goal that the one that hit the post and it just remained a 6-point
lead. Yeah,
it was. Yeah,
which missed. Braden Torpy otherwise had a pretty good day with the boot.
Here's the trick shot to get him out to 26-20. Little flick back on the inside by Oswald. There's Drinkwater. He's not going to run over the dead ball line this time. He was diving from about 2 metres out to get it down.
Smart play as well, because the Cutters will be keeping half an eye on Billy Walters too. I mean, you know, Billy has got the record now, a very good season last year. They'd be looking at him, the Melbourne Storm guy, Billy Walters. Yeah. He's probably going to be the playmaker, but Drinkwater comes from nowhere.
Yeah, Drinkwater had a wow of a game, so they should have been keeping an eye on him as well. Perhaps they didn't know he was in the scrum playing right second row at that time.
Well, that's it, Gav, isn't it? He was there for that exact reason, wasn't he? Oswald was, I think, locked, wasn't he?
He was.
He was the inside runner and then turned it back inside to the right-hand side second rower from the scrum. What's going on with fullbacks packing in the second row?
And so this is the final play, which could have been the match winner, as Bowie puts the kick through. Fella to Goai, reaches high, got an awkward bounce, got it down, scores the try. Well, it brought them within 2 points with a kick to come as the full-time siren rang.
And it doesn't look like it missed by much, the kick either. Labert had to kick a miracle goal from the touchline. This is the build-up to it. They did well. This is a good little kick here by Bowie. Thread the needle, and then he just got that big bounce. And fella Takoa got it down just inside the touching goal line. The touch judge was quite happy. He was pointing down with his hand flat, saying he's got that down, got it inside. The Tigers look stunned.
Almost no way you can defend against that kick.
No, look, there's not. You know, they've worked hard. I think this came up with a penalty about a minute before the end of the game. They just punched it forward. They've drawn them in. The East Tigers defence, you'll see, they all come in to try and just shut this down. Just right here, they come in. There's McAnally sort of coming in, trying to just shut it down. So, you know, had he stayed a little bit wider, you know, there's many ifs and buts that go on. But it was, let's put it down to excellent execution from the Cutters,
which gave us a scoreline of 26-24, and a kick to come for Kyle Labert from the sideline. But he just couldn't land. A difficult kick, a lot of pressure on him. He would love to have put it through the sticks.
I think he's a lefty too, is he? Is he a left footer?
Yeah.
So it was,
had to bring it around. It was the right side.
He had his favoured side, but that's a tough kick. And it looked, he hit it pretty well from this angle. We're not behind it, obviously. So he gave it a fair go, but it just drifted to the right-hand side.
Watch the touches in those instances. If they get off their line, you know, it's sort of going close or not. And they sort of got on their bike a little bit. I had a bit of an eye on them, so it was a fair idea that I had that it was going to miss. But unfortunate for Mackay, they really came here to play. They did get out to a good start. They've got some good young entertaining players there as well. And, you know, I don't think it'll be long before they get their first winner.
All right, I think it's just about time to go home. I think we've done overtime here, haven't we?
I need a rest. Great game of footy.
Yeah, no, hope you enjoyed it at home on Tiger TV, wherever you are, whether you're in Mackay or anywhere right across Queensland. This round 2 clash, which was a beauty between the Tigers, who eventually defeated the Mackay Cutters 26-24. But we'll be back again next week on Tiger TV when the East Tigers take on the Ipswich Jets. It's a Saturday game here at 5 o'clock, so make sure if you can't get down here to Suzuki Stadium, you join David Wright, Gavin Payne, myself and Mel Tibet here for the clash against the Jets. See you then.